Chapter 172 Bailey Hongzhuang instructed the servants to prepare food for Baisher. Spirit beasts always needed to eat lots of food, and after being sealed away so long without eating, Baisher was naturally very hungry. Seeing the food, Baisher excitedly rubbed across Bailey Hongzhuang's leg before rushing headforth into the food. But when everyone saw how much food Baisher was eating, their eyes were all filled with astonishment. "Oh no, there's another glutton." Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth twitched. Little Black and Little White were already able to eat, but she never expected that Baisher could eat even more than those two. Just buying cultivation resources for herself was already like a bottomless pit. Now that she's also raising 3 prodigal songs, she really doesn't have enough money. Thinking of it, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but take out the demonic cores. These demonic cores are also pretty useful. Since there's an auction in the afternoon, it's better to take out a few pills to participate. While Bailey Hongzhuang was thinking about what pills to bring for the auction, Baisher's twinkling eyes had already locked onto the demonic core in Bailey Hongzhuang's hands. "Master, want." Baisher left its food to walk towards Bailey Hongzhuang, its voice like milk. Hearing its words, Bailey Hongzhuang raised the tip of her brow. "You want the demonic core?" Baisher nodded its head. "Want." Bailey Hongzhuang's face was doubtful. Although she didn't know what Baisher wanted to do with the demonic core, since it wants, it could have it. As she placed the demonic core in front of Baisher, the 2 fluff balls stared confusedly. "This guy shouldn't be able to absorb it right away, should it?" Little White asked questioningly. The demonic core was the same as a demonic beast's cultivational essence. After reaching a certain level of strength, a demonic beast could directly absorb a demonic core to increase their own strength. However, it wasn't easy. A demonic beast's energy was very violent. Only a very powerful demonic beast could easily absorb it. The demonic core Bailey Hongzhuang got this time wasn't weak at all. Although Little Black and Little White could still absorb it, Baisher was still young and its body wasn't strong enough. "I don't know, let's just look what happens." Little Black answered, "Even if Baisher could absorb it, it can't absorb a lot. Since Baisher took the initiative to ask for it, it shouldn't be a problem." After Baisher saw the core, its eyes lit up with even more excitement. It charged at the core. Ka-cha! A crisp sound echoed in the air. The demonic core was cracked. Baisher reached out with its soft, red tongue and licked the liquid out of the core, absorbing everything into its body. Soon after, it also chewed on the shell before swallowing it completely. After it was finished eating, Baisher licked its mouth before continuing to eat the rest of its food. "Damn, no way." Little Black was stunned. "What is this guy made of? How could it eat a whole demonic core? This shouldn't be right." Little White was completely bewildered. This was something they truly hadn't expected to see. Her ink-black eyes were like jade as they twinkled with light. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at its furry body, the corners of her mouth bursting forth with a bright and beautiful smile. Just watching Baisher's actions, she already knew that the little guy wasn't simple. The demonic core Baisher ate just now was one of the hell wolves. If a demonic beast's innate strength wasn't strong enough, they wouldn't be able to absorb the energy. How big was Baisher's potential? It was capable of eating the entire demonic core safely, which proved that its innate power was very strong. She believed that this time, she had truly picked up a treasure. Baisher wasn't an ordinary spirit beast at all. Chapter 173 Thinking up to here, Bailey Hongzhuang grew a bit happy. By just a little bit, it seemed that supporting this prodigal son was worth it. Time passed by in an instant and it was finally time for the auction. Bailey Hongzhuang packed her things and left for Tianxiang Trading Commerce. The passerbys' faces all turned excited when they saw Bailey Hongzhuang appear. Right now, the most famous person in all of Fengbo country was Chen Wangfei. Before, the 3 most popular geniuses were Xian Yuanhuan, Bailey Yuyan, and Li Yuyue, so everybody thought that whether if it was Bailey Yuyan or Li Yuyue, they'd all be a good match for Xian Yuanhuan. But, the trash they had always disdained turned out to be the most shocking genius of them all. She proved to everybody with facts, that this was true talent. Bailey Hongzhuang was the idol of many young cultivators. Bailey Hongzhuang had suffered from all kinds of humiliation, but now finally her bitterness had finished and sweetness begins. Since Bailey Hongzhuang could do it, how couldn't they? Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang, Xiao Zifan immediately smiled and walked towards Bailey Hongzhuang. Hongzhuang, you came. Bailey Honghang nodded her head. You guys came here first. We had only just arrived. Xiao Zifan smiled brightly. Next month, I'll be taking Azure Water School's assessment, so my father allowed me to go to the auction to see if there's anything that suits me. Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly looked around, finding that many of the people here were rather young. The items that appeared in an auction was far better than the ones in the store. If they could find something that was suitable for them, that would definitely be best. At the same time, everybody else was also staring at Bailey Hongzhuang. Now, it was impossible not to pay Bailey Hongzhuang any attention. Today, Bailey Hongzhuang was wearing a simple white dress, clearly displaying her temperament. Her delicately flawless face seemed perfect from every angle. Just by standing there, she was already a memorable sight. Look, Bailey Hongzhuang came. I wonder if Bailey Hongzhuang ended up choosing whether to go to Azure Water School or not. Refusing such a good opportunity, her courage really isn't small. If I needed to comment, I'd have to say that Chen Wangye really does have the best taste in the entire imperial city, actually being able to bring home and marry such a good woman. If I had known earlier, I definitely would have long gone to the general's household and asked her hand in marriage. Everybody nodded along to his words. Bailey Hongzhuang's sudden rise was the only proof that the general's household had no eyes, losing the pearl. The royal family was the same, but nobody dared to say it aloud. This time, His Highness, the Crown Prince had truly suffered a loss. A man smiled. Today, I heard that something happened to Li Yue's face. Hearing those words come out, everyone curiously turned to look at him. What happened? Zhao Yunxi giggled as she turned to face Bailey Hongzhuang and Xiao Zifan. I heard that Li Yue's face somehow got covered in freckles. Now, she could probably change her name to be called Li Matzi, haha. Li Matzi, Li is the surname, Matzi means pockmark. Xiao Zifan was startled. That can't be. How could her face suddenly have freckles on it with no cause or reason? Before, she was always running rampant, acting arrogantly like a peacock. Now she doesn't even dare to leave her room and reveal her face. It serves her right. I've always hated her attitude. Now I doubt that the Crown Prince will marry a woman covered in pockmarks. Zhao Yunxi laughed, pleased. She truly hated Li Yue's high and mighty attitude, swaggering around the city. Bailey Hongzhuang had a faint smile on her face and didn't speak. This is already His Highness's second engagement. If this one is cancelled as well, then, Xiao Zifan looked distracted. If this got out to the public, the Crown Prince would be reduced to a joke. If the engagement was cancelled again and they needed to find another woman to become the Crown Princess, then His Highness's marriages would be viewed as a funny tale for all of Feng Bo country to hear. Thinking of this, everyone couldn't help but look at Bailey Hongzhuang, secretly sighing with regret. His Highness truly had no eyes. Not long after, Xianyuan Huan arrived at Tianxiang Trading Commerce. But when he entered the hall, Xianyuan Huan felt as if everyone was looking at him strangely. His normally proud and arrogant face was currently a little helpless. First, he wasn't able to get first in the hunting competition. Now, there was a problem with his fiancée. Before he came, he had overheard his parents discussing whether or not to once again cancel the engagement, making him feel very powerless. He really had no idea why he had such bad luck. Nothing was going in his favor. The originally loud crowd suddenly became quiet. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the auction hall. The bright lounge was enough to house hundreds of people with room to spare, arranged to display a quiet yet refined elegance. A single look could tell that the decor, although valuable, wasn't the least bit overwhelming. That was where the auction would be held. Wait a bit for me, I'm going to the treasure room. Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly spoke. Xiao Zifen looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, surprised. You're going to sell something? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly and nodded, right. Although you can bring items to sell in the auction before it starts, selling it now, it would only be able to make the next auction. You can't catch the current one. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to look around. Bailey Honghang still smiled. If they didn't accept the treasure, it'd be because it didn't have enough value. If it was worth enough, even if it was too late, they would still devise some way to let you sell it in the auction. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang enter the treasure room anyways, Xiao Zifen and Zhao Yunxi glanced at each other before shrugging. Bailey Hongzhuang entered the treasure room and saw an elderly 60-something old man, his hand propping his chin as he slept. His head moved from time to time but never fell onto the desk. Senior. Bailey Hongzhuang called out. But the senior was clearly still sound asleep. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice wasn't enough to wake him. Senior. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her voice, calling again. Thump. The old man was awoken by the noise, his chin knocking heavily on the table. Aya. The old man rubbed his chin, panting with rage as he spoke. Who interrupted this old man's sleep? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. Senior, I came to sell something. Chapter 175. A trace of shock flickered by the old man's eyes when he saw Bailey Hongzhuang. He rubbed his chin and sneered, such a pretty little girl. But even for a pretty little girl like you, disturbing an old man's sleep isn't appropriate. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrow, her eyes crafty. From what she made out, the old man was very unhappy. Senior, you were sleeping when you should have been working. Isn't that even more inappropriate? The old man's face changed, cough, cough. This old man only closed his eyes. Why said I was sleeping? Didn't you just say I disturbed your sleep? The old man looked around before directly ignoring Bailey Hongzhuang's words. Little girl, what are you selling? I can examine it, but I'm afraid it's too late for it to make it into this auction. Hearing his words, Bailey Hongzhuang took out a white porcelain bottle from her space pouch. The old man looked at the white porcelain bottle, a trace of interest in his eyes. Usually, porcelain bottles held pills. Taking the bottle, the old man opened it, a strong medicinal smell permeating through the air. This is a bone-cleansing pill. The old man's face had a trace of astonishment. The bone-cleansing pill was a second-grade pill. It has the ability to cleanse the bone marrow. Everyone's bodies always had some impurities. The bone-cleansing pill would flush out all the impurities and as a result, make it easier to sense spirit power and speed cultivation. Although the bone-cleansing pill's rank wasn't very high, only a single pill master in all of Fengbo country was able to refine it. So usually, a bone-cleansing pill was very rarely seen. Who knew how many cultivators were mad with envy when they heard that the second-place prize was a bone-cleansing pill? But how could this little girl have just taken out 3 bone-cleansing pills? He almost didn't even need to think. Just by bringing it to the auction, it'd definitely become the finale, the star of the show. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. Senior has good eyes. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's reply, the old man's opinion of Bailey Hongzhuang changed a little. Pill masters were a special existence in Xingxian continent. The fact that she was able to bring out pills was proof that there was a pill master behind her. Since she was even able to bring out bone-cleansing pills, it meant that the pill master was a strong one. With this point, Bailey Hongzhuang's position in the old man's heart suddenly rose dramatically. Such a person must be treated well. Little girl, what should I call you? The old man asked. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. My humble self is named Bailey Hongzhuang. Hearing the name Bailey Hongzhuang, the old man's face paused. So this beautiful little girl was actually the famous Bailey Hongzhuang. So it was actually Qin Wangfei. He smiled. This old man is Su Hongyuan. You may call me Old Su. Old Su. Bailey Hongzhuang cupped her hands in greeting. Will my pills make today's auction? Su Hongyuan nodded. Of course it will. The 3 bone cleansing pills are enough to become this auction's finale. Chen Wangfei can rest assured. It'll definitely be able to fetch a high price. This old man is the manager. The auction house won't take a single cent from this. Her limpid bright eyes filled with astonishment. Bailey Hongzhuang immediately waved. That isn't right. What's ought to be given should be given. Su Hongyuan shook his head, smiling. Just putting the 3 bone cleansing pills in the auction is already enough to attract a large flock of people. At this point, it's already worth more than the fee. No matter what, I won't accept any commission. Chapter 176. Seeing Su Hongyuan so determined, Bailey Hongzhuang no longer refused. Then I'll thank Old Su. She knew that the most important thing about an auction was the quality of its goods. Even though Tianxiang was the biggest auction house in the imperial city, it still has to compete with other auction houses. Auction houses compete by comparing the quality of the treasures. The guests would then choose to go to whichever one had the more valuable treasures. The 3 bone cleansing pills were enough to let Tianxiang win the auction, and also allowed Old Su to form a good relationship with her. If Chen Wangfei has similar treasures, we hope that you'll choose to sell them with Tianxiang auction. Old Su said smilingly. Certainly. Leaving the treasure examination room, Bailey Honghang thought about Su Hongyuan's identity. The commission fee for the 3 bone cleansing pills wasn't small at all. An ordinary worker shouldn't have been able to do that. It seems that Su Hongyuan's position in Tianxiang wasn't small at all. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly walked back to Xiao Zifan and Zhao Yunxi. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang return, Zhao Yunxi asked, "How was it? You couldn't catch the auction?" These were the auction's rules. After all, the auction house always sends a brochure of all its items 2 days before the auction to the rich and powerful. How could it be so easy to more items in the auction? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. I was lucky and made it just in time. Hearing her words, Zhao Yunxi and Xiao Zifan were shocked, staring at Bailey Hongzhuang in blank astonishment. They wondered if they misheard her. It looks like you brought out something valuable. Xiao Zifan slowly started to understand what happened. Zhao Yunxi suddenly understood. So there was actually such a possibility. This time, she truly hadn't thought deeply enough. As the 3 talked, a premature voice interrupted their conversation. Are you Bailey Hongzhuang? Her sharp voice echoed with rudeness and disdain as if she didn't see anyone as her opponent. Bailey Hongzhuang raised an eyebrow. Did she know anyone with such an arrogant voice? Cocking her head, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the woman behind her. The woman seemed to be around 17. Her face was peerlessly beautiful, but the slight tilt of her chin revealed her arrogant nature. She was dressed in an ardent crimson dress, her body emitting a remote and aloof aura. Her style was very distinctive. But looking into her almond eyes filled with contempt, Bailey Hongzhuang already had no interest. Daijimon. Zhao Yunxi shouted, astonished. She didn't expect to see her here. Hearing Daijimon's name, Bailey Hongzhuang finally knew who the arrogant young woman in front of her was. Daijimon was the daughter of General Dai. Her appearance was outstanding with unsurpassed talent. Last year she had taken Azure Water School's assessment and successfully joined. Up until now, she had been cultivating inside Azure Water School. Nobody expected to see her at Tianxiang auction today. Fengbo country had a large number of generals, and 2 of them were especially famous. The first one was naturally Bailey Zhentao, and the second was Dai Jimon's father, Dai Tianxiong, General Dai. Only, Bailey Hongzhuang never had any interactions with Dai Jimon. She had no idea why Dai Jimon was looking for her. Seeing how Bailey Hongzhuang still hadn't answered, Dai Jimon frowned and shouted again, I asked you if you were Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang raised an eyebrow. What? When Daijimon came back, everyone was talking about Bailey Hongzhuang. She hadn't expected for a recruiting teacher to give Bailey Hongzhuang an invitation letter. An invitation letter from Azure Water School was a student's biggest honor. Everybody who got an invitation letter became one of Azure Water School's people. But, she never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang dared to refuse the teacher's invitation. What was this? Trash like Bailey Hongzhuang managing to attract a teacher's interest was already a godsend, but she actually dared to refuse. Just who did she think she was? Originally she had wanted to teach Bailey Hongzhuang a lesson, but hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's indifferent words, Daijimon actually didn't know what to say. I heard that you refused the teacher's invitation. Daijimon looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with contempt. Don't think just because you're a little strong now, that there's nobody better than you in the whole world. Listening to Daijimon speak, Bailey Hongzhuang knew right away that she was deliberately trying to find trouble with her. Are you jealous? Bailey Hongzhuang slowly asked. The three words seemed to hit Daijimon's sore spot, her beautiful face quickly turning red with anger. Me? Jealous of you? Daijimon forced herself to suppress the burning hot anger rising in her heart. You're dreaming. What do you have that deserves my jealousy? Since you aren't jealous, why are you saying so much nonsense? Bailey Hongzhuang's answer wasn't light. Xiao Zifen and Xiao Yunqi watched. They admired Bailey Hongzhuang from the bottom of their hearts. Daijimon obviously came to pick a fight. If it was somebody else, they would have long gone mad with anger handling Daijimon. But Bailey Hongzhuang truly had skill. Not only did she remain calm, but instead, even managed to make Daijimon choke with anger. They've already started to faintly sympathize with Daijimon. They knew that even before, Bailey Yuyan's tongue was nothing compared to Bailey Hongzhuang's. Daijimon took a deep breath. She just couldn't understand Bailey Hongzhuang's style of thinking. How could this scene and the scene she imagined be so different? You dare to say my words are nonsense? Daijimon's eyes were merciless. I really don't understand where your arrogance comes from. Why wouldn't I dare to say that to you? Who do you think you are? Her eyes, deep like a calm pond, flashed with cold light. Bailey Hongzhuang's chin raised a little, the corners of her mouth forming a mocking smile. She, Bailey Hongzhuang, never liked other people provoking her. But some people just seem to have nothing to do and deliberately tries to pick a fight with her. Just because she didn't speak, doesn't mean that she was so easily bullied. Not just any Tom, Dick, or Jerry could come up and bully her. First, they needed to see if they had the qualifications. Xiao Zifen and the crowd could all clearly feel Bailey Hongzhuang's aura change. In just a few moments, her previously calm and approachable air instantly changed cold and ruthless. Ha, if you think you're really all so great just because Azure Water School gave you a little attention, you trash, don't blame me for becoming your opponent. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's change, Daijimon was also furious. She was a student of the grand and magnificent Azure Water School, how could she dare to talk to her like that? Bailey Hongzhuang narrowed her eyes. You called me trash, so I'll ask you, if I, trash, could get an invitation letter from Azure Water School, then what would you, who couldn't even get an invitation letter, be considered as? You court death. Daijimon finally reached her extreme. She reached for her waist, bringing out a long whip. Chapter 178. With her blazing whip, fiery clothes, and her rude, arrogant character, everything truly matched perfectly. Snap! The long whip struck the ground, causing a crisp sound to echo in the air. A crack appeared on the place the whip struck it, clearly displaying its power. I'll show you what I am. Her voice falling, Daijimon didn't hold anything back as she struck the whip mercilessly towards Bailey Hongzhuang's face. Seeing this scene, everybody's face changed. Nobody expected Daijimon to be so vicious, aiming directly for Bailey Hongzhuang's face. They didn't doubt that, if the whip was truly brandished against Bailey Hongzhuang, it would be impossible to avoid getting her flesh shredded. Her beautiful, exquisite face would be covered in hideous scars. The corners of Daijimon's mouth curved into a proud smile. Just wait until she destroyed Bailey Hongzhuang's face, then she'd like to see how Bailey Hongzhuang could be so arrogant. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed coldly. She and Daijimon didn't have any relationship between them whatsoever. But today, she just appeared and immediately wanted to destroy her face. If nobody offended her, she wouldn't offend them. If somebody offended her, she would pay them back 100 times the pain. The next moment, under everybody's shocked eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang faced the whip head first, neither dodging or hiding. Very soon, the whip would hit her face. Be careful. Xiao Zifen couldn't help but shout. Everything happened too suddenly. They never thought that Daijimon would actually directly attack, not caring about the sight. Before he could do anything, it was already too late. Drip. Drip. The sound of blood dripping onto the cold, hard floor echoed as everybody stared at the scene, almost forgetting to even breathe. Bailey Hongzhuang's left hand was grabbing Daijimon's long whip. Although blood dripped down her fingers, an enchanting smile still bloomed on her breathtakingly beautiful face. They didn't need to look to imagine how deep the wounds on Bailey Hongzhuang's hand must be. But looking at the smile still on her face, everybody could only feel something was off. Fun. Red lips gently opening, Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was filled with charm as if everything was just a joke. Daijimon swallowed as she looked at such a strange Bailey Hongzhuang. She didn't know why, but her heart actually had a sense of dread. She knew just how strong her whip was just now. But she simply didn't understand. How did Bailey Hongzhuang manage to grab her whip at full speed? Since you seem to like destroying other people's faces so much, why don't I give you a taste? Her eyes that were black like a calm pond was swept into a terrifying storm. Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly moved, her fingers covered in silver needles, slapping directly at Daijimon's face. Daijimon immediately understood what Bailey Hongzhuang meant and hurriedly tried to swing back her whip before once more striking it at Bailey Hongzhuang. But, the whip was still in Bailey Hongzhuang's hands. She gripped even tighter, not giving Daijimon a chance to recover her whip. Pa! With a sound of a crisp slap accompanying a loud scream, everyone sucked in a cold breath. On Daijimon's haughty face was 5 fine bloody streaks. With the fresh blood continuously flowing down her face, it was both hideous and horrifying. Feeling the pain on her face, Daijimon subconsciously touched her face. Seeing her hands covered in blood, her face instantly turned pale. Ah! Daijimon screeched, you dared to ruin my face. Chapter 179, You wanted to destroy mine, so why can't I ruin yours? Bailey Hongzhuang's face was indifferent. Even after dealing such a hand, her appearance was the same as ever. I never like to provoke others, but the next time somebody comes to find trouble with me, I won't be polite. Bailey Hongzhuang's face suddenly turned cold, traces of ice swirling in her eyes as her gaze swept over the crowd. Everybody's face changed. In that moment, they all knew that the trash known as Bailey Hongzhuang was only a thing in the past. Even though Bailey Hongzhuang had already made a name for herself, nobody took it to heart because their image of the trash, Bailey Hongzhuang, was still deeply rooted in their hearts. But in this moment, looking at her cold face, everybody knew that Bailey Hongzhuang was no longer a disgraced waste. She was a true talent. Whoever dares to provoke her must bear her wrath. A man wearing a forest green embroidered robe entered Tianxiang Auction's lobby. Seeing Daijimon's figure, he exposed a smile. But when the man saw her face, his complexion suddenly changed. Jimon, what happened to you? Seeing the man come, Daijimon seemed to finally found her backbone, immediately wailing, Lu Gij, you must take revenge for me. Gij equals big brother Lu Jingkuan was also a student of Azure Water School and was in love with Daijimon. Since he heard Daijimon went back to the imperial city, he followed her and returned as well. Now seeing the beauty in distress, Lu Jingkuan naturally wouldn't shrink from his duty to protect the flower. Who did this? Lu Jingkuan roared angrily. I did it. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly spoke, you're here to avenge her. Lu Jingkuan was filled with anger, his hands reaching towards Bailey Hongzhuang. But when he saw Bailey Hongzhuang's face, he couldn't help but freeze. Goodness, what a beautiful woman. Until now, he had always thought that Dai Jiman was already very pretty. But compared to the woman in front of him, Dai Jiman was completely overshadowed. You did this? Lu Jingkuan asked, what's your name? Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed ruthlessly, if you want to fight, then fight. I don't have that much spare time to waste with you. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's tone, everybody was speechless. This Bailey Hongzhuang was truly insane. Lu Jingkuan's cultivation was at the middle stage of mysterious awe. Bailey Hongzhuang not only didn't back down, but even took the initiative to provoke him. Lu Gij, what are you waiting for? Help me destroy her face. Dai Jiman urged him. Oh. Okay. Lu Jingkuan's eyes flashed with hesitation. He didn't know if he should fight or not. Facing such a beauty, he didn't think any man would be able to act ruthlessly. Just as Lu Jingkuan was hesitating, Tianxiang's auction staff entered the lounge. The staff member looked at the scene in front of him. Before he had entered, he already heard the whole story. He never expected for Dai Jiman to appear in the auction house. Tianxiang Trading Commerce covered all of Xingxian continent. Their strength naturally needn't be said. No matter who it was, they would all have to give Tianxiang Trading Commerce some face. Even if there was resentment, the guests would have to solve it after the auction. Otherwise, that wouldn't be giving them face. Over the last few years, so long as a cultivator even so much dared to release their spirit power, they would already be written and blacklisted by Tianxiang Trading Commerce. Nowadays, nobody even thought of making trouble at Tianxiang. When everyone saw Tianxiang auction staff appear, they knew in their hearts that the battle was finished. Dai Jiman and Bailey Hongzhuang were out of luck. Chapter 180. Although Tianxiang Trading Commerce was rather low-key nowadays, everybody knew that Tianxiang wasn't a good target to pick a fight with. Even the royal family would have to give Tianxiang a little face. Because even though the royal family had absolute control in Fengbo country, Tianxiang Trading Commerce spanned the entire Xingxian continent. By comparison, Tianxiang Trading Commerce's strength was far more astonishing. Now that Bailey Hongzhuang and Dai Jiman caused trouble in a Tianxiang auction house, it was very much possible for them to be blacklisted by Tianxiang. This wasn't a laughing matter. Many stores were under the banner of Tianxiang Trading Commerce. If cultivators wanted to buy cultivation-related things, they would have to buy it from Tianxiang. But if they were blacklisted, their choices would be too narrow. Miss Dai, Chen Wang Fei, the auction is about to begin. I hope you two could give me some face and temporarily set your disputes aside, okay? Shopkeeper Su Xingchuan spoke out. His face was amiable and approachable, with not the slightest hint of anger. Bailey Hongzhuang held back the ice in her eyes and smiled. I'm truly sorry for interrupting Tianxiang Trading Commerce's auction. Hearing her words, Su Xingchuan glanced at Bailey Hongzhuang. In the twinkle of an eye, Bailey Hongzhuang was able to hold back her anger and completely change her expression smoothly with ease. Just with this point alone, he knew right away that Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't simple. Not only that, but he also already knew that Dai Jiman provoked Bailey Hongzhuang first, but Bailey Hongzhuang still apologized. From that, he knew she was very open-minded. Chen Wangfei's too serious. We're truly honored to have you participate in our Tianxiang auction. Bailey Hongzhuang only smiled. In that instant, she knew Su Xianchun wasn't simple either. This man's cultivation was higher than every single one of the people in the lounge. That fact alone was enough to be admired. But, such a powerful man like Su Xianchun was no more than staff member at Tianxiang auction house. It seemed that she had truly underestimated Tianxiang Trading Commerce. Dai Jiman didn't have such a good attitude. Bailey Hongzhuang ruined my looks. If you think that I'll let her go, you're dreaming. Hearing her words, Su Xianchun still smiled warmly. So then, does that mean you don't want to give us Tianxiang Trading Commerce any face? Following Su Xianchun's words, everybody could clearly sense the air tense. Everyone wiped a cold sweat for Dai Jimon. This little girl truly didn't know her own strength. Although Dai Jimon didn't understand, Lu Jingkuan understood what Su Xianchun really meant. Once Su Xianchun blacklisted them, all the shops under Tianxiang Trading Commerce would close their doors to them. At that time, it'd be too terrible to be described as bad. Shopkeeper Su, we were wrong and we apologize. Lu Jingkuan spoke up. Seeing Lu Jingkuan act like that, Dai Jimon grew even angrier. After being bullied so much, how could she still hold back? The word bullied wasn't in hers, Dai Jimon's dictionary. She knew of Tianxiang Trading Commerce's influence, but so what? She didn't think that because of such a small matter, Tianxiang Trading Commerce would dare to blacklist her. Lu Jingkuan, if you don't kill Bailey Hongzhuang right now, we'll never be together. Dai Jimon's voice was filled with anger. Su Xingchuan frowned. Dai Jimon was truly too arrogant, actually refusing to give Tianxiang Trading Company any face. Lu Jingkuan was embarrassed. He used one hand to block Dai Jimon as he spoke. Shopkeeper Su, please be at ease. The conflict ends here. Hearing that, Su Xingchuan glanced at them coldly before nodding. Good. After Su Xingchuan left, Lu Jingkuan whispered in Dai Jimon's ear, Jimon, don't worry, I'll definitely help you get revenge. But first, wait for the auction to end, okay? After hearing his words, the originally fighting Dai Jimon suddenly quietened and nodded her head, fine. But when the moment comes, you must kill her. No problem. From Bailey Hongzhuang and Su Xingchuan's conversation, Lu Jingkuan knew that Bailey Hongzhuang was married and clearly had no relation with him whatsoever. So, killing was just killing. Master, those two wanted to kill you after the auction ended. Little Black said angrily. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips twisted into a sneer, just let them try. That pair of cheating dogs. I'm angry just thinking about them. Little White despised them. Master, you don't need to kill them. I'll do it myself. When the time comes I will send them to hell. It was their fault that they could not see clearly. Little Black and Little White's eyes twinkled with excitement. The two's actions were truly unforgivable. Until now, Master had always kept herself quiet and low profile. This time they really bullied Master, so now they would make her pay the price in blood. Jimon, don't be too angry. We're Azure Water School's students. We can sit in first class, other people can only take second class. Lu Jingkuan smiled. Tianxiang auction seats were also carefully chosen and separate between first class, second class, and third class by status. First-class seats were the most comfortable, and had a better view of the auction stage. Second place was slightly worse, and third was very crowded. Although anyone was allowed to participate in the competition, your seat was a symbol of your identity. True. Dai Jimon's face revealed a smile as she spoke. She glanced at Bailey Hongzhuang, those people who can only get second, I really wonder how they could be so arrogant. Bailey Hongzhuang's face was doubtful. She didn't know the difference between the classes. Xiao Zifen whispered into Bailey Hongzhuang's ear, we of the younger generation can only sit in second class, and the commoners sit in third. Only the rich and powerful had the right to sit in first class. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly nodded her head. She didn't really care all that much. So what if they have a first-class seat? It's nothing to be so proud of. Zhao Yunxi couldn't help but complain. Now she suddenly felt that Li Yuyue wasn't all that bad. Compared to Li Yuyue, that woman was even more arrogant. Dai Jimon's eyes shined as she raised her chin, you have to have skill. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't expect for Zhao Yunxi to actually suddenly help her speak. Just as she opened her mouth, a Tianxiang servant walked in front of them. Chen Wangfei, the shopkeeper would like to say that as an honored guest, a VIP viewing box has already been prepared for you and your two friends. Hearing those words, Daijimon's proud face immediately froze. What? What did he say? A VIP viewing box had already been prepared for Bailey Hongzhuang. What qualifications did Bailey Hongzhuang have? Lu Jingkun was also stunned. Even in all of Fengbo country, hardly anyone had the qualifications to get a VIP viewing box, so how could Bailey Hongzhuang? Bailey Hongzhuang was also somewhat doubtful. From Daijimon and Lu Jingkun's faces, she knew that this VIP viewing box was very rare. It was clearly even better than the first-class seats. Prepared for me. Why? Her monochrome eyes were filled with suspicion. She and Tianxiang trading commerce had no friendly relations. If it was only because of what happened earlier, it'd really be too far-fetched. The attendant's face smiled politely, softly explaining, Chen Wangye is our Tianxiang VIP. Since you are Chen Wangfei, you're naturally allowed to enter the VIP viewing box as well. Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly understood. She didn't expect that it was only because of Bewitching. That guy. With his identity, he really did have the qualifications to become Tianxiang's VIP. After the attendant left, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips slowly raised, forming a smile elegant like a hibiscus. I only have a VIP box and can't have a first-class seat. Yep, I truly envy you guys. Daijimon and Lu Jingkun's faces turned somewhat ugly. Everybody was staring at them mockingly. Xianyuan Huan stared at Bailey Hongzhuang in astonishment. He really had no idea that Bewitching, that trash, could actually be Tianxiang's VIP. Even if it was he relying on the royal family's identity to get a VIP viewing box, he still wouldn't be able to get one. So how could Bewitching possibly have the ability to get one? The auction is about to begin. Let's go. Bailey Hongzhuang spoke, looking at Xiao Zifan and Zhao Yunxi. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Zhao Yunxi's eyes were filled with a pleasant surprise. Me? I can go too. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly and nodded, of course. Zhao Yunxi beamed. She had always been curious about what was inside the legendary VIP viewing box. She never thought that she would get a chance to see it today. The three no longer hesitated, directly leaving to the VIP viewing box. As the three left, everyone else also slowly headed to the auction hall. Daijimon looked in the direction Bailey Hongzhuang left, angrily stomping her foot. She wanted to use today to walk all over Bailey Hongzhuang, but didn't expect to lose face herself. The attendant led Bailey Hongzhuang and her group to the viewing box. The 4x4 box was on the second floor, overlooking the entire auction hall clearly. The box was very spacious and cozy. The seats were spongy and very comfortable to sit in. There was a table in the middle of the box, the highest quality tea and exquisite pastries already prepared and laid out. 3 catalogs of the auction's item also sat there for them to flip through. Sizing up the box, Zhao Yunxi's face was filled with astonishment. A VIP's treatment truly is different. Compared with the environment below, I don't know how many times better the box is. Last time she came to the auction, she could only have a second-class seat. Originally she had thought that the second-class seat already wasn't bad, but seeing inside the VIP viewing box, she could truly sense the disparity between the two. Xiao Zifan felt the same, nodding his head. The VIP viewing box is arranged beautifully, refined and elegant yet cozy and snug. Sitting below in the auction hall, it always felt a little too hot. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips rose into a smile. Tianxiang has very few VIPs, so this VIP box is naturally as perfect as possible. She had no choice but to concede. Tianxiang truly was worth its position on Xingxian continent. They really did have a mind for business. By distributing the classes so clearly, they could invoke the competitive spirits inside people's hearts so that they couldn't only be satisfied with their current status. It made people want an even higher one. Otherwise, Daijimon and Lu Jingquan wouldn't have been so satisfied with their first-class seats. Chapter 183. Daijimon took a seat. This was her first time participating in the Tianxiang auction with a first-class seat. At first, she was very excited. But when she thought about Bailey Hongzhuang in her VIP box, she felt a burst of anger. How could that woman be able to get a VIP box? At that time, as one of the Imperial City's cultivators who took Azure Water School's exam and passed, her future was limitless. This was her first time coming back, so she thought that she would become the center of attention. But no, everyone was talking about Bailey Hongzhuang instead. Asking around a little, she was astonished. How could Bailey Hongzhuang get Azure Water School's invitation letter? As Azure Water School's student, she was very clear just how significant an invitation letter was. But, that only made her feel even more jealous. And the thing she couldn't stand the most was that Bailey Hongzhuang was actually married to Dibei Chen. How could that be? Bailey Hongzhuang picked up the auction's catalog. Earlier, she'd never even got to take a look. So now, she just wanted to see if there was anything she wanted in the auction. At this moment, Zhao Yunxi inspected Bailey Hongzhuang's face and suddenly spoke. Bailey Hongzhuang, do you know why Daijimon was so intent on attacking you? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrow. Because I got Azure Water School's invitation letter. Zhao Yunxi nodded but then shook her head. That's only one reason. There's another reason for her hate. A touch of confusion fell into her eyes, black like a deep pond. Other than that, she didn't know why Daijimon would suddenly pick a fight with her. Xiao Zifen immediately thought about Zhao Yunxi's words, and his face immediately turned a bit helpless. What is it? Bailey Hongzhuang asked. In the past, Daijimon liked Dibei Chen. The words rang still. Bailey Hongzhuang widened her eyes in shock. She thought of many possibilities, but never believed that it'd be because of that. Dibei Chen, Daijimon actually liked Dibei Chen. Even though both of Chen Wangye's legs are crippled, many women inside the Imperial City still admire Dibei Chen. After all, a man with such beauty and grace is truly rare in the world. Originally, the emperor had intended to betroth Daijimon to Chen Wangye, especially since everybody knew that she liked him. But in the end, Chen Wangye refused. Over the past 3 years, the emperor had been constantly finding marriage candidates for Chen Wangye, but Chen Wangye didn't agree once. Zhao Yunxi looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, her face somewhat strange, but then when Prime Minister Li proposed an idea to betroth you to Chen Wangye actually agreed. That was something almost nobody could believe. Until now, Chen Wangye always refused to get married, tactfully declining the emperor and paying no mind. But with Bailey Hongzhuang, Dibei Chen not only did agree but even dared to offend the general's household and made a big display of sending the betrothal gifts just to have the perfect wedding with Bailey Hongzhuang. From this, it was obvious that Dibei Chen truly loved Bailey Hongzhuang. Under such a big gap, how could Daijimon accept it? Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes twinkled with astonishment. Seeing Xiao Zifen nod along, she knew that everything was true. It seems that she was disdained because of Dibei Chen's charm. Women in the Imperial City just loved him too much. So it's like that. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. But, now at least there's proof that Chen Wangye really has great taste. Zhao Yunxi looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. At first, she couldn't understand why Dibei Chen ignored the other girls and chose trash instead. Chapter 184. But now she realized, amongst all the people in the Imperial City, only Chen Wangye was able to see clearly. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and didn't speak. She hadn't known that Zhao Yunxi was always so attentive with Dibei Chen. Speaking of Dibei Chen, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes changed a little. She didn't know how he was doing now. Looking at the auction catalog in her hands, Bailey Hongzhuang that there were actually quite a few treasures. Weapons, medicinal ingredients, cultivation scripts, martial arts skills, etc. It had everything a cultivator needed. It seemed like this Tianxiang auction house had been preparing for quite some time. This time she had come to find a weapon for herself, but even after flipping through the catalog again and again, she still couldn't find anything that really suited her. She naturally didn't want ordinary, common weapons. If there wasn't anything right for her today, she'd just have to wait. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was about to give up, her eyes suddenly froze on the last page. It was a sword with a completely blue handle. Ice-chilling sword. The wind released from it alone was enough to make cuts. With incomparable sharpness, the blade itself was filled with a cold aura. The longer you fight, the more powerful its aura would be. It was actually a very good treasure. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved into a faint smile. It seems like she had finally found a decent weapon. While Bailey Hongzhuang was searching for a good weapon, Xiao Zifan and Zhao Yunxi were also flipping through the catalogs. Since they came here, they naturally hoped that the trip hadn't been made in vain. Soon, an old man in an embroidered black robe appeared on the stage. The old man's age seemed to be around 50, his eyes bright as he looked at the crowd below him, a smile on his face. I thank everyone for making time out of their busy days to attend Tianxiang Auction House's auction. I am the auction master, Su Jin. Everyone turned to face Su Jin. Now that he, the auction master, appeared, the auction was definitely going to start soon. I won't say too much. Surely nobody likes trivial words, so we'll be directly starting the auction now. A burst of applause sounded from the audience. This old man's quick and straightforward opening speech gained everybody's favor. The old man raised his left hand and a woman in a red dress slowly walked onto the auction stage, carefully setting down a tray. The woman's figure was very good, with beautiful curves in all the right places. The way she walked looked even more charming, attracting everybody's attention. Even after the woman left the stage, many men still stared in her direction. This is the first product of today's auction, Embrued Blood Blade. The old man lifted the red silk, allowing everyone to see the Embrued Blood Blade. Embrued Blood Blade, a sword dyed with blood. It's a great option for raids and assassinations, or for practical self-defense. Not only that, but it's extremely light, making it extremely convenient to carry around and hard to discover. It's a pretty good sword to choose. The old man raised the Embrued Blood Blade, allowing the guests to see it more clearly. Only a sliver of scarlet could be seen from its silver-white surface. The name and sword truly complemented each other. Sitting inside the VIP box, Bailey Hongzhuang, Xiao Zifan, and Zhao Yunxi were all able to clearly see the sword. Tianxiang's VIP box seemed to have some magical way of magnifying the object, so even though they were quite far away from the stage, they could still easily see the imbued blood blade. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the imbued blood blade. It was indeed a good weapon. It was only the first item, but the quality was already so good. That alone showed Tianxiang auction standard. Chapter 185, Imbued Blood Blade. Bidding starts at 4,000 gold coins, and every increase in bid must not be less than 1,000 gold coins. The auction starts now. Just as Su Jin's voice fell, shouts began to echo in the hall, raising the price higher and higher. 5,000 gold coins. 6,000 gold coins. As soon as one shouted, another person would bid even higher. The scene was very lively. 9,000 gold coins. 10,000 gold coins. In such a short time, the imbued blood blade's price was already raised to 10,000. But after every call, some of the buyers would no longer bid. For an auction, the price of an imbued blood sword already wasn't bad. 11,000 gold coins. Another one shouted. Su Jin's face revealed a smile. A guest bided 11,000 gold coins, 11,000 gold coins. Would anyone like to bid higher? Just after Su Jin asked, another voice called out, 12,000 gold coins. 12,000 gold coins. Anyone higher? Everybody fell silent. The price of the imbued blood sword in the auction was already very high. In the audience, the owner of the imbued blood blade smiled as he saw everyone bid for the sword. Compared to just selling it at the shop, selling it here was far more profitable. 12,000 gold coins, sold. Su Jin raised the small hammer and hit the gong. The loud, heavy sound of the hammer echoed clearly in everybody's ears, declaring the end of the first auction item. Congratulations to the new owner of this imbued blood sword. Tianxiang Auction's people took the lead to start clapping, followed by applause from the audience. At Su Jin's right-hand side, the bewitching figure of the woman dressed in red once again walked to the stage. She took the tray and walked in front of the guest, handing him the imbued blood sword. Under everybody's applause and the beauty's smile, the man accepted the imbued blood sword, grinning. It's no wonder Tianxiang Auction's so amazing. It's already clear from the first item. Little White sighed. Their grasp and knowledge of how humans thought were truly outstanding. Bailey Hongzhuang faintly nodded. Tianxiang Trading Commerce methods are truly indescribable. The imbued blood blade was no way worth 12,000 gold coins, but because it was from Tianxiang Auction, they would be happy even if they paid a little more. She was convinced that the next time the man wanted to join an auction, he would definitely choose Tianxiang's. After the first item, different products kept on getting called and brought up, but Bailey Hongzhuang's group still hadn't bid once. The next one is called Mysterious Star Sword. Su Jin teared open the red silk, a silver sword appearing in front of everybody. The sword cuts iron like clay. The wind from this alone can make cuts, truly an excellent weapon. You mustn't miss this brilliant opportunity. Xiao Zifen, who had up until now been quietly watching the auction, suddenly got up, staring intently at the mysterious star sword. Seeing Xiao Zifen change, Bailey Hongzhuang asked, "You like the mysterious star sword?" Xiao Zifen smiled and nodded. This mysterious star sword is pretty good. I'm leaving for Azure Water School's assessment soon, so I want to at least find a nice weapon for myself. Go for it. Get that weapon. Zhao Yunqi smiled. Mysterious Star Sword, bidding starts at 30,000 gold coins. Each increasement mustn't be less than 1,000 gold coins. Start the auction. 31,000 gold coins. 32,000 gold coins. The second-class guests had already started making their bids, and the third-class guests could only shake their head and watch. Chapter 186. The auction's price had already gone far above their limit. Even on the journey of cultivation, it was impossible without enough money. 40,000 gold coins. The price was called very quickly. In such a short time, Mysterious Star Sword had already gone above the 50,000 mark. After 50,000 gold coins, not many cultivators would continue to bid. 51,000 gold coins. Xiao Zifen began to bid. He knew that if he quoted a price at the beginning, it'd be impossible to get the sword. It would be better to bid after there were less competitors. Daijimon was somewhat bored as she sat in the first-class seats. But when she saw Bailey Hongzhuang's auction box make a bid, her eyes suddenly turned bright. A sinister smile made its way onto her face. I'll let you pay part of the price, daring to offend me. 52,000 gold coins. Daijimon's voice echoed in the auction hall. Hearing this voice, Bailey Hongzhuang narrowed her eyes. Daijimon fights with a whip, not a sword. Clearly, she was doing this on purpose. 53,000 gold coins. Xiao Zifen shouted again. 54,000 gold coins. Daijimon immediately yelled afterward. No matter what price Xiao Zifen called, Daijimon would always quote the price added with another 1,000 gold coins. Even though she and Xiao Zifen never had any conflicts, since he was in Bailey Hongzhuang's group, he's also a target. Seeing Daijimon so relentless, Xiao Zifan started to get a bit angry. The other competitors had long given up. If it wasn't for Dai Jiman, the mysterious star sword would have long been his. 60,000 gold coins. Xiao Zifan added on 5,000 gold coins at once. His irritation was clear to see. Seeing Xiao Zifan get angry, Dai Jiman's smile widened. 61,000 gold coins. Everybody watched as Dai Jiman and Xiao Zifan competed. Dai Jiman was clearly raising the price on purpose. Dai Zhirong and Bailey Hongzhuang's earlier fight was so eye-catching that it was impossible for nobody there to know. But Dai Jiman's hateful way of raising the price like that was just truly too disgusting. The one thing everybody hated most when bidding in an auction was meeting a person like that. The money would be wasted for no good reason. And it wasn't even any of their money being extorted. It was truly too dirty. Su Jin was also paying attention to the little bidding war. As the auctioneer, it was his job to get the product's value up as high as possible. So, the scene in front of him was very much to his liking. No matter whose hand the mysterious star sword made it into, they would still make a huge profit. 70,000 gold coins. Xiao Zifan bid it again, gnashing his teeth in frustration and anger. 71,000 gold coins. Dai Jiman still smiled, but her heart was a little surprised. It was already amazing that the sword could go above 50,000 gold coins, but he continued to bid even as she kept raising the price. From this, it was obvious that Xiao Zifan liked the sword very much. When Xiao Zifan heard Dai Jiman call out 71,000 gold coins, his whole body fell soft. Today he had only come with 70,000 gold coins. He had thought that was all he needed to find a good weapon, but he hadn't expected Dai Jiman to wreck everything. Not bidding? Bailey Hongzhuang asked. Xiao Zifan shook his head helplessly. I don't have enough. Zhao Yunxi's face was red with anger. This Dai Jiman is truly too much. Shameless. No gentleman would take away another's beloved. Dai Jiman was simply too despicable. Dai Jiman waited for Xiao Zifan to bid again, but she was alarmed to find that even after a long time, there was no sound. Her face couldn't help but change. Xiao Zifan didn't give up, right? She didn't need the mysterious star sword. If she bidded for the thing and then didn't want it, it'd be tantamount to breaking the auction house's rules. That wasn't what she wanted to see. 71,000, calling once. 71,000, calling twice. Everyone's face couldn't help but turn a little mocking. They all knew Xiao Zifan was the only one that really wanted the mysterious star sword. So if the sword fell into Dai Jiman's hands, she wouldn't even have enough tears to cry with because of her greed. 71,000, calling thrice. At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly opened her mouth. 72,000 gold coins. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's shout, Dai Jiman felt herself relax. Fortunately, she no longer had to buy the weapon. She was still a bit scared just looking at the sword. Her face was rather unsightly. This, Xiao Zifan looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, astonished. Although, that was 72,000 gold coins. Bailey Hongzhuang faintly smiled. Dai Jiman targeted you because of me. Since you were just dragged into it, I'll gift the mysterious star sword to you. If it wasn't for her, Xiao Zifan wouldn't have had any problems getting the sword himself. He wouldn't have had to suffer despite being completely innocent. She truly felt regretful for that. How can that do? Xiao Zifan immediately refused. This weapon is mine, so how could I let you pay? It doesn't matter. We're friends, it's normal for friends to send gifts to each other. No. Xiao Zifan firmly shook his head. First you'll lend me 2,000 gold coins, and I'll pay you back once I get home. Watching Xiao Zifan relentlessly refuse, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but laugh a little. So be it. Since you're so determined, how about you pay the original price of the sword, 50,000 gold coins. The rest, I will. Xiao Zifan was startled and opened his mouth to speak. Before he could say something, Bailey Hongzhuang hurriedly spoke first. If you refuse, I will feel very regretful. Hearing her words, Xiao Zifen could only nod. Then thank you. That's what you should have said from the beginning. Thank you. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled, but a layer of frost tinted her eyes. Dai Jimon was always finding some way to attack her. Now, she's even targeting her friends. As soon as the auction's finished, she must make her pay the price. The auction still continued. From beginning to end, Dai Jimon and Lu Jingkuan hadn't tried to buy a thing. Just now, they forced Xiao Zifen to pay an extra 32,000. How could Bailey Hongzhuang not be waiting for a chance to get revenge? No way will they be giving Bailey Hongzhuang a chance for revenge. The next item of the auction is actually for a woman. Soaring snake skin, the best in its category for defense. Wearing it will definitely save your life one day. As a cultivator, we often encounter life and death situations. This premium snakeskin is the first choice. Everyone, there's no need to hesitate. The starting price is 40,000 gold coins. Bidding starts now. Zhao Yunxi froze as she stared at the red, colorful leather. She really wanted it. 50,000 gold coins. Zhao Yunxi shouted. Hearing Zhao Yunxi's bid, the audience fell quiet with astonishment. By raising the price by 10,000 gold coins, it was obvious how much she wanted it. Dai Jimon smiled once again. That was Zhao Yunxi's voice. 51,000 gold coins. Dai Jimon called. Chapter 188. When everyone heard Dai Jimon bid again, they all immediately gave up on the snakeskin. With that troublemaker, other than being a foolish spendthrift, there was no way they could get the snakeskin armor. The situation Zhao Yunxi feared most happened right before her eyes. Dai Jimon was doing it again. 65,000 gold coins. Zhao Yunxi called. 66,000 gold coins. Dai Jimon smiled proudly. Bullying people felt so good. Seeing Dai Jimon act so indifferently, Zhao Yunxian became so angry that her face flushed red. Angry, she suddenly shouted, Dai Jimon, you are acting overboard. Dai Jimon did not think Zhao Yunxian would suddenly call out her name. But she did not mind as her smile became increasingly pleased. I'm just bidding, what right do you have to stop me from bidding? You purposely causing havoc, anyone can clearly see it. So what? What can you do about it? Dai Jimon continued to smile, it's just Zhao Yunxian, she can bully her as much as she likes. At this time a cold voice sounded from the box, a person without principles is invincible, you have really brought this phrase to the point of perfection. After that one line, Dai Jimon's expression changed as she no longer had a gleeful smile. Everyone was stunned. The phrase, a person without principles is invincible, this was the first time they had heard of such a saying, but it made a lot of sense. The previous actions of Dai Jimon were perfected interpreted by that single phrase. You dare call me unprincipled? Dai Jimon stood up and glared at the box above. The corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved up as she replied, some people were born shameless, so why do I have to give them any face? Bailey Hongzhuang. You are courting death. Dai Jimon was furious, every word this Bailey Hongzhuang was simply just face-smacking. Cohesiveness flashed in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes, her gaze was as sharp as a knife, it seems that the punishment I gave you before was not enough. If you have the guts, say one more line. I will make you regret that you were born to this world. As the cold, chilling voice sounded, with a domineering arrogance in her tone of voice, a breathtaking aura erupted. It was no longer a threat, but a final ultimatum. Everyone's face changed, they had never seen this side of Bailey Hongzhuang. From her speech, everyone felt a powerful pressure upon them. The feeling was like a final verdict from a master. It was usual for anyone to think of this opinion to be comical, as although Bailey Hongzhuang was talented, but Dai Jimon had already studied at Azure Water School for a year. So in comparison, out of the two, Daijimon is stronger than Bailey Hongzhuang by a tier, so how could she take Daijimon's life? So in this situation, from Bailey Hongzhuang's cold tone, who did not think that she was being overconfident. Daijimon looked distracted. In that short moment, she was overwhelmed by Bailey Hongzhuang's aura. Bailey Hongzhuang. Who do you think you are? Daijimon sneered, just because you have some talent, doesn't mean you can act lawlessly. If I wanted to take care of you, I have many methods to choose from. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled as she replied back, Daijimon, tomorrow at Wu time, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., life or death battle, do you dare to fight? In the continent of Xingxian, conflicts between practitioners were common. And when the conflict got too big to resolve through words, some practitioners decided to duke it out with a life or death battle. When they agreed to a life or death battle, they were fated to either win or die. No matter who died, the other party was not held responsible. Although a life or death battle was well known, but in the younger generations of the imperial city, it has never occurred. Chapter 189. After all, their family backgrounds weren't bad. Even if there were conflicts, people could use any other possible method to deal with it. Nobody would choose to pay the price with their life. When Bailey Hongzhuang mentioned a life and death battle, everyone couldn't help but gasp. Life and death battle? Bailey Hongzhuang actually wants a life and death battle? It looks like Bailey Hongzhuang isn't just arrogant. A life and death battle isn't a joke, ah. This is Daijimon's third time provoking Bailey Hongzhuang, so it's no wonder that she'd be mad. But her challenge really was unexpected. Daijimon also didn't expect for Bailey Hongzhuang to suddenly request a life and death duel and was a bit surprised. But after, her lips curled into a small sneer. Originally she was going to kill Bailey Hongzhuang after the auction, but since Bailey Honghang was courting death herself, she'll send Bailey Hongzhuang to hell. She knew that Bailey Hongzhuang's strength was in the early stage of Mysterious Ian, but her own strength had already reached the intermediate stage. Tomorrow she would let Bailey Hongzhuang see the difference between Mysterious Ian's early stage and intermediate stage. Fine. Daijimon's voice was still proud. Bailey Hongzhuang, at that time, I'll let you beg for mercy. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled coldly, tomorrow, you will die. Humph. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang refusing to concede, Daijimon coldly snorted. Today she would let Bailey Hongzhuang be as arrogant as she wanted. Tomorrow, she would destroy Bailey Hongzhuang's face in front of everyone. Face meaning prestige, reputation, etc., not literally her face as in looks. Xian Yuanhuan watched Bailey Hongzhuang and Daijimon argue in astonishment. He never thought that after meeting each other for the first time, it had already turned into a duel between life and death. Right now, Bailey Hongzhuang was truly different from her original self. Zhao Yunqi's eyes were huge, even forgetting to close her mouth. Earlier she simply couldn't put up with Daijimon's conducts and deeds and got up to argue with Daijimon. She never thought it'd get this serious. Bailey Hongzhuang, I only spoke because I got a bit angry. How could you request for a life and death duel? Ah. If by any chance you lose, won't you? Won't. Zhao Yunqi said anxiously. Seeing Zhao Yunqi's worried face, Bailey Hongzhuang smiled a little. It was just as Xiao Zifan said. Although Zhao Yunqi's temper was a little impulsive, her intentions weren't bad at all. Before today, there had always been a small barrier between her and Zhao Yunqi. She didn't expect that because of Daijimon, the barrier would be erased in anger against a common enemy. Xiao Zifan's face was also worried. You were really too reckless. I heard Daijimon already broke through into the intermediate stage of Mysterious Ian. With that and her experience in Azure Water School, you aren't her opponent. Ah. Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hands and smiled. Don't worry, I know my own strength. She already knew Daijimon's strength the moment she saw her. Even though she was only in the early stage, her true fighting strength was even stronger than the intermediate stage of Mysterious Ian. That was the source of her confidence. Daijimon only studied in Azure Water School for a year. In her previous life, she walked around all of Jianghu for many years. Jianghu is a community of martial artists in wuxia stories. Literally, means rivers and lakes. No matter if it was cultivation experience or fighting experience, nobody in her generation could match her. She never even put Daijimon in her eyes. She only decided to do this because Daijimon's family was too troublesome. Otherwise, Daijimon would have already died today. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's careless appearance, Xiao Zifen and Zhao Yunxi were flooded with regret. If they had known that it'd be like this, they never would have called Bailey Hongzhuang to take part in the auction. Chapter 190. Because of that, Zhao Yunxi no longer had any more interest in the snakeskin, and Daijimon also didn't care about the snakeskin. In the end, to everyone's surprise, Zhao Yunxi got the armor for an incredibly low price. Jimon, you have to be careful when dueling Bailey Hongzhuang tomorrow. Lu Jingkun suddenly spoke. Daijimon raised her eyebrows and didn't care. It's only Bailey Hongzhuang. After I reveal all my power, she won't be my opponent. Lu Jingjun frowned slightly. I don't think Bailey Hongzhuang's that simple. If she was truly that weak, your face wouldn't be like this right now. Hearing his words, Daijimon's face changed, immediately shouting, that was only once, how could she be my opponent? Jimon, this. Lu Jingkun still thought Daijimon should be more careful. Even though Bailey Hongzhuang wanted a duel on the spot, he didn't think that Bailey Hongzhuang was an impulsive person. If she dared to propose a life and death duel, she must have had some kind of confidence in her abilities. But Daijimon was already unwilling to listen and waved her hand in disgust. Don't turn this into a big mess. Don't tell me you think I don't know my own strength. Seeing Daijimon grow angry, Lu Jingkun could only sigh and close his mouth. Maybe Daijimon already thought of a way to deal with Bailey Hongzhuang tomorrow. So, now was her time to spite Bailey Hongzhuang with the ice-chilling sword. Many of the cultivators in the auction also wanted the ice-chilling sword. From the incredibly high starting price alone, the sword's value was obvious. But in the end, the ice-chilling sword still fell into Bailey Hongzhuang's hands. The auction items were presented and sold. Each item was more expensive than the last. As the auction's items got less and less, the air inside the auction grew more and more tense. The auction's finale's value needn't be said. However, almost everyone was still thinking about Bailey Hongzhuang and Daijimon's life and death duel. With their minds occupied on something else, the audience's enthusiasm was somewhat lacking. After the last item was sold, everyone started to get up and prepare to leave. In that moment, Su Jin suddenly spoke, attracting the crowd's attention. Just before the auction began, our auction house actually received a new product for our finale. We believed you all would be very interested in it. Su Jin's face had a confident smile. When he found out about the newly added auction item for the finale, he knew that this would be their biggest auction yet. Hearing Su Jin's call, everyone was startled, turning to look at the stage. The auction actually wasn't finished yet. The guests who were about to leave returned to their seats. If it was Tianxiang auction's finale, its value shouldn't be low. I wonder what sort of treasure it is, capable enough to be added to the auction last minute. Since it was able to become the auction's finale, I don't think the treasure is simple at all. This isn't the first time something like this happened, but this is the first time an item brought in just before the auction became the finale. Everyone was discussing heatedly, their faces all full of curiosity. Zhao Yunxi was also very curious. I wonder what kind of treasure can manage to become the auction's finale even though it was handed in just before it started. Soon after she said those words, Zhao Yunxi and Xiao Zifen were both startled, turning to look at Bailey Hongzhuang. Although they knew Bailey Hongzhuang had brought in something to sell right before the auction started, they didn't know what. Could the treasure actually be Bailey Hongzhuang's? Chapter 191, The Auction's Final. It can't be yours, right? Zhao Yunxi asked. Bailey Hongzhuang faintly smiled and nodded, not hiding it. Yeah, it's my item. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang confirm it, Xiao Zifan and Xiao Yunxi were astonished. From the previous auction items, Bailey Hongzhuang's treasure must be incredibly valuable if it could become the auction's final at such short notice. Do you mind if I ask what it is? Xiao Zifan asked. A pill. On the stage, the lady in a red dress placed a silver plate on the auction block in front of Su Jin. Su Jin's smile grew wider and wider. I am sure that everybody must be very curious about the auction's final item, so I won't keep you all in suspense any longer. The final item is something all young cultivators need, bone cleansing pill. For a split second, the auction hall seemed to freeze. It was soon followed by wave after wave of surprise discussions which came like a downpour. The large hall became extraordinarily lively. Bone cleansing pill. Tianxiang's auction actually had a bone cleansing pill. I didn't expect for this auction to give us such a nice surprise. Usually, it's near impossible to buy a bone cleansing pill. If I had known about the bone cleansing pill earlier, I would have come with more money. Not good, I need to hurry and pass the news back to get more gold coins. Right, I need to as well. When Daijimon heard the words, bone cleansing pill, she was stunned. She never thought Tianxiang auction would give her such a nice surprise. A bone cleansing pill was something all young cultivators yearned for even in their dreams. She was also like that. Not good, I need to get money now. Daijimon hurriedly got up. Earlier, she hadn't found anything she wanted in the auction book. Today she only came to watch the fun and didn't bring that much money. Daijimon quickly left the auction. Meanwhile, Lu Jingkuan's heart was also thumping heavily. Even in Azure Water School, it wasn't easy to get a bone cleansing pill. If he could get the bone cleansing pill here, it'd be perfect. Master, Daijimon left the auction. Little Black watched Daijimon run under it. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips stretched into a smile. Daijimon's only going to get some money. She'll be back soon. But the money she brings back will be useless. Xiao Zifan and Xiao Yunxi's faces were filled with shock as they stared at Bailey Hongzhuang. They've long known that Godly Doctor Square was selling pills, but it had always only been immortality pills and detoxification pills. They never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would also have bone cleansing pills. Although bone cleansing pills and immortality pills were both second-grade pills, immortality pills were very common and most pill masters knew how to refine it. So although immortality pills were rare, if one really wanted to get one, it wasn't too hard. Bone cleansing pills were actually very different. Very few pill masters knew how to refine it. In the entire imperial city, only one person was able to refine bone cleansing pills. Yet Bailey Hongzhuang, remarkably, was actually still able to bring out such a pill. Xiao Zifan and Xiao Yunxi glanced at each other. They could never understand how Bailey Hongzhuang was so strange. In accordance to her original identity, she was only the general's household's unfavored daughter. But how could she just be so different? Bailey Hongzhuang watched as the two's faces changed over and over, a small smile still on her face. Even though what she did today really was strange, she no longer cared. Chapter 192. She wasn't Bailey Jintao's daughter and wanted to find her own biological parents. So what if somebody doubted her identity? She hadn't been that same always bullied on Bailey Hongzhuang for a while already. Xiao Zifan and Xiao Yunxi quickly recovered from their shock. Bailey Hongzhuang was their friend, so naturally, they were happy seeing how amazing Bailey Hongzhuang had become. In the VIP box, Xianyuan Huan's heart was filled with astonishment. Although he already won one in the hunting competition, there were many children in the royal family. Returning home with another bone cleansing pill would be best. This time, we had altogether 3 bone cleansing pills, so to make sure everyone gets a chance, we'll be dividing it into 3 individual auctions. Su Jin's voice echoed in the auction hall, making everyone even more excited about the 3 bone cleansing pills. If there was only one pill, it'd be very difficult for them to get it. But if there were 3, they would have a much better chance. In the first-class seats, Li Qingqian was also excited when he heard about the bone-cleansing pills. Earlier today, he was in a bad mood, so he decided to drop by and take a look at the auction. He didn't expect for the auction to give him such a pleasant surprise. Since everyone already knew about what happened with Li Yue's face, the only thing he could do left was to improve her strength. No matter what, the bone-cleansing pill must be his. We'll now start the auction for the first bone-cleansing pill. Everyone knows how priceless a bone-cleansing pill is in the Imperial City, and finding a bone-cleansing pill is very, very difficult. So, the bone-cleansing pill doesn't have a starting price or a minimum increasements. Everyone may bid as they wish. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes narrowed. Su Jin really was great. The starting price in the auction would usually give everyone a rough estimate of its value, so the final selling price normally would not be much higher than the starting price. By not placing a starting price and giving everyone nothing to start with, it'd surely be able to reach a high price. Master, it looks like Tianxiang auction can sell the bone-cleansing pills at a really high price today. Little Black said, laughing. Little White slowly nodded. This time wasn't chosen wrong. Everyone in the auction hall really wants the bone-cleansing pills. Bailey Hongzhuang only smiled faintly and didn't speak. Tianxiang auction house's skills were better than what she imagined. 10,000 gold coins. A man in the third-class seats suddenly made the first bid. Hearing the price, everyone felt a burst of contempt. Never mind an auction, a bone-cleansing pill wouldn't even be that cheap in a store. This guy's starting price was truly shameless. Sensing everyone's disdain, the man also felt somewhat embarrassed. As an ordinary person, 10,000 gold coins was already a lot. However, he had completely forgotten about all the lofty personages in the auction. But a moment after the man bidded, a voice came from a viewing box. 100,000 gold coins. Xianyuan Huan suddenly opened his mouth, directly raising the price to 100,000 gold coins. Everyone's faces changed. Since the auction started, the Crown Prince hadn't spoken once, so everybody had almost completely forgotten about him. How powerful was a Crown Prince's identity? Nobody dared to offend him, and so for a moment, the auction hall was completely silent. Su Jin was a bit baffled when nobody else made a bid, and could only call out, 100,000 gold coins, going once. 100,000 gold coins, going twice. 100,000 gold coins, going thrice. Congratulations to His Highness, the Crown Prince's winning bid for the bone-cleansing pill. The red dress woman walked on the stage, taking silver platter with the bone-cleansing pill, and walked towards Xianyuan Huan's viewing box. Chapter 193. Everyone secretly sighed. The first bone-cleansing pill was already taken by His Highness, the Crown Prince. If it wasn't for His Highness's bid, the first bone-cleansing pill definitely should have sold for more. Xiao Zifen said, sighing regretfully. This was why pill masters were all practically worshipped in Xingxian continent. Just a single pill they refined was enough to make cultivators go mad. Zhao Yunxi nodded. Once His Highness, the Crown Prince opens his mouth, who else dares to talk? Do you think that His Highness is going to bid for all three? Xiao Zifen muttered to himself for a moment and spoke, he probably won't. Bidding for the second bone-cleansing pill starts now. 100,000 gold coins. Hearing 100,000 gold coins again, everyone was momentarily startled. But this time it wasn't Xianyuan Huan who called, but the Prime Minister, Li Qingqian. Seeing Li Qingqian, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips slowly curved into a shallow smile. This kind of enemies on a narrow road truly was interesting. When everyone saw that His Highness, the Crown Prince still hadn't bid, their hearts all actually felt a bit relieved. Although the Prime Minister was also powerful, far fewer people were afraid of him. 110,000 gold coins. 120,000 gold coins. Seeing everyone fall silent before starting to call out earth-shattering prices, Li Qingqian's face couldn't help but turn a bit ugly. When Daijimon returned to the auction hall and found that it was already on the second bone cleansing pill, she immediately joined in on the bidding, 150,000 gold coins. 160,000 gold coins. Li Qingqian bid. 170,000 gold coins. Daijimon frowned. The price was already almost twice as much as the first bone cleansing pill. But Li Qingqian was completely determined to win the bone cleansing pill, increasing the price once again without the slightest hesitation. He had partaken in many auctions and had a lot of experience. He knew very well that the third bone cleansing pill would definitely be even more expensive than the second, so no matter what, he needed to get this one. 200,000 gold coins. After hearing Li Qingqian shout his bid, Daijimon also gave up. She's heard of Li Yue's current situation and knew why Li Qingqian was so determined to get it. However, she was sure that the third pill would be hers. The second bone cleansing pill was sold to Li Qingqian and the auction for the third one began. 150,000 gold coins. Opening her mouth, Daijimon directly raised the price to 150,000 gold coins, forcing many cultivators to give up their plans. Everybody looked at Daijimon, their hearts filled with endless regret. Cultivation pills were truly something only the wealthy could afford to bid for. As for the ordinary people only watching, just the price alone was enough for them to look up in shock. Noticing everyone's eyes of admiration, Daijimon's face was full of pride. She wants to see who dared to bid against her. But in that moment, a cold voice suddenly called, making the smile on her face falter. 150,001 gold coins. Everyone was flabbergasted. At the very least they all raised the price by 1,000 gold coins, and many even raised it at least 10,000 gold coins. But, did they just hear Bailey Hongzhuang increase it by only a single gold coin? This already couldn't be called bidding. It was just provoking Daijimon. Daijimon's face was ashen. That damned Bailey Hongzhuang. 160,000 gold coins. 160,001 gold coins. 170,000 gold coins. 170,001 gold coins. No matter what Daijimon bid, Bailey Hongzhuang would always bid 1 gold coin higher. Her joking voice clearly told Daijimon that she was only playing with her. But Daijimon couldn't do anything. Chapter 194, Bailey Hongzhuang, you're going too far. Daijimon's voice was furious. This was the first time she ever hated somebody this much in her whole life. Tomorrow, she must kill Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang raised an eyebrow and smiled enchantingly. What do you mean? I was just copying you. Weren't you completely unashamed of doing it earlier? Hearing her words, Daijimon's face turned extremely stiff. She actually couldn't answer Bailey Hongzhuang's words. 200,000 gold coins. 200,001. Everyone watched, surprised. Earlier they had thought that Daijimon had already gone too far, but they didn't expect for Bailey Hongzhuang to actually bid even more relentlessly. That single gold coin was driving Daijimon crazy. 250,000 gold coins. 250,001. Daijimon's voice was already very hectic, but Bailey Hongzhuang's voice remained calm and steady. In fact, she didn't need to worry at all. Since the bone cleansing pill was her own item, it didn't matter what price she put, since it'd still be hers in the end. Plus, Tianxiang didn't even charge her the processing fee. She refused to sell the bone cleansing pill to Daijimon. 300,000 gold coins. Bailey Hongzhuang made Daijimon go mad. She didn't believe that Bailey Hongzhuang would dare to raise the price any higher. Everyone sucked in a cold breath. The price was truly too crazy. 300,000 gold coins for a single bone cleansing pill was the same as the 2 earlier bone cleansing pills combined. 300,001. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang bid again, everyone was stunned. Bailey Hongzhuang was truly too fierce. Hearing the price, Daijimon stared up, her whole body falling limp. Jimon, stop. Bailey Hongzhuang bidded for the bone cleansing pill. This price is already very high for her. Lu Jingkun consoled her. Daijimon faintly nodded her head. That was her only comfort. She didn't dare to continue to bid. The price had long gone past her limit. If she bid it again and Bailey Hongzhuang chose to relinquish it, she'd be completely finished. Congratulations to Chen Wangfei for winning the third bone cleansing pill. Su Jun rapped the hammer, declaring the results of the auction. The bone cleansing pill was brought to Bailey Hongzhuang. Xiao Zifen and Xiao Yunxi looked at the pill and couldn't help but feel a little bit envious. This was a pill that cultivators yearned for even in their dreams. They didn't bid because they were clear that they didn't have the financial ability to buy it. Seeing the two's eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang took out a white porcelain bottle from the space pouch and handed it to the two. These 2 bone cleansing pills are my gift to you too. Hearing her words, Xiao Zifen and Xiao Yunxi were both startled. Watching Bailey Hongzhuang smile, they didn't recover for a long time. A gift for us? Xiao Yunxi muttered, in a daze. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded, right, a gift for you too. Although she refined 5 bone cleansing pills. 2 were to be sold at the auction, 2 was for Xiao Zifen and Xiao Yunxi, and the last one was for herself. After Xiao Zifen finally reacted, he hurriedly refused, this is too precious, I can't accept it. What a joke, a bone cleansing pill was just sold for 200,000 gold coins. Ah. Xiao Yunxi's eyes flashed with pleasant surprise, but when she saw Xiao Zifen, she also immediately refused. Zifen's right, this is too precious. We can't accept it. Bailey Hongzhuang just waved her hand, you two are my friends, so of course you don't need to worry about this. Plus, the bone cleansing pill will definitely help a lot. Especially since you, Zifen, will be taking Azure Water School's entrance test. Don't refuse. Xiao Zifen's heart shook a little. Right, he needed to pass Azure Water School's examination no matter what. In fact, he already knew that he wasn't strong enough. He didn't have very much confidence in passing the test. With this bone cleansing pill, his strength would definitely improve. Even the slightest difference could decide whether he passes or fails. For a moment, he was silent. Xiao Zifen glanced deeply at Bailey Hongzhuang and spoke, thank you. If you ever need anything from me in the future, I won't refuse. From what he knew of Bailey Hongzhuang until now, she was always the one helping him. The only thing he ever did was help her when the Hell Wolves attacked. His heart knew clearly that his help had barely done anything for Bailey Hongzhuang, but because of that one night, Bailey Hongzhuang had deemed him her friend. He was ashamed to accept it. He was thankful from the bottom of his heart to be Bailey Hongzhuang's friend. Although he couldn't give Bailey Hongzhuang anything back now, he was sure that he'd be of aid in the future. Seeing Xiao Zifen's firm and determined eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang's smile turned a bit warm. Okay. Xiao Yunxi also spoke up, you guys wait for me. Although this year I don't have a chance to join Azure Water School, next year, I'll definitely work hard and join you too. The 3 smiled at each other as they left the VIP box. Bailey Hongzhuang took the initiative to go to the treasure inspecting room. Su Hongyuan was already waiting for her. To her surprise, Su Xingchuan was also in the treasure inspecting room. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang come, Su Hongyuan's face exposed a kind smile, Chen Wangfei, you came. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly, old Su, shopkeeper Su. Who would have guessed that the one who auctioned the bone cleansing pill was actually Chen Wangfei? Su Xingchuan said smiling. Originally he only admired Bailey Hongzhuang's way of life. After he found out that the bone cleansing pills were actually Bailey Hongzhuang's, he started to value her a bit. Whether it was medical expertise, strength, potential, and background, nothing about Bailey Hongzhuang was simple. In the past, he didn't pay enough attention to Bailey Hongzhuang. Now it seemed that his way of thinking needed to change. The money from the auction's 3 bone cleansing pills have already been placed on your card. No need, I believe in Tianxiang trading commerce. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled sweetly. With Tianxiang trading commerce's mass financial resources, it was simply impossible for them to covet such a tiny wealth. If she actually did take a look, it'd truly be too petty. Su Hongyuan smile deepened. Bailey Hongzhuang was only 15 years old, but her conduct and behavior simply had no flaws at all. Chen Wangfei, this is Tianxiang Trading Commerce's VIP pass. We hope you accept it. Su Xingchuan handed over the black card to Bailey Hongzhuang, the Tianxiang Trading Commerce's VIP card interlinked with the coin card. Su Xingchuan handed over the black card to Bailey Hongzhuang, the Tianxian Chamber of Commerce's VIP coin card. The black gold coin card seemed luxurious, yet subdued. If you took a quick glance at it, you would see that the card wasn't that simple. Bailey Hongzhuang's penetrating eyes were slightly astonished by the color. Even though she took out 3 bone cleansing pills to the auction, it was impossible for it to warrant a VIP card. She knew the Tianxiang auction house's VIP card was a rare item. How could Su Xingchuan give it to her so easily? But since they were giving it to her, she naturally accepted. Chapter 196. The VIP card wasn't light. If you possessed a VIP card, the processing fees and commission would be cut down a lot. Indeed a good item. Then many thanks, shopkeeper Su. After Bailey Hongzhuang left, Su Hongyuan asked, why did you decide to give her a VIP card? Although they did want to form a good relationship with the pill master behind Bailey Hongzhuang, it wasn't enough to warrant a VIP card. Su Xingchuan smiled wisely, that young woman isn't ordinary. In the future, her accomplishments will definitely be shocking. Her expertise in medicine alone is enough to deserve a VIP card. Although there were only a few highly skilled pill masters in Xingxian continent, it wasn't like there was none at all. But, there were very few doctors that could compare to Bailey Hongzhuang. Just by this one point, Bailey Hongzhuang already wasn't simple. Su Hongyuan slightly nodded, I also admire that girl. I really wonder how far she'll grow in the future. Bailey Hongzhuang returned to the Qin Palace. Meanwhile, news of Bailey Hongzhuang and Dai Jiman's life and death battle was spreading all over the imperial city. Chen Wangfei and Miss Dai are going to have a life and death duel. Miss Dai's already been cultivating in Azure Water School for a year. I heard that she already reached the intermediate stage of Mysterious Ian, which is 1 stage higher than Chen Wangfei. Chen Wangfei initiated the duel. Isn't that like courting death? I heard that Miss Dai's words were too excessive, so Chen Wangfei challenged her to a battle. So reckless. Almost nobody supported Bailey Hongzhuang's duel with Dai Jiman. The gap in strength was simply too big. As everyone knows, challenging someone who's a stage ahead of you was never a simple matter. Almost no cultivators could achieve this. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't care what other people thought, returning to her room to cultivate after eating her evening meal. Looking at the bone cleansing pill in her hands, Bailey Hongzhuang didn't hesitate to swallow it. The earlier you consumed the pill in cultivation, the better its effects would be. The bone cleansing pill not only raised affinity towards spirit power, but also improved cultivation speed. But when cultivators in the Hotian boundary broke through to the Xiantian boundary, they would also have to go through a soul cleansing. A soul cleansing's results were similar, but far better than a bone cleansing pills. It would discharge all impurities in the body and the ordinary, mundane figure would be changed into an immortal's. Their cultivation speed would drastically improve. That was why the early stages of cultivation were so slow. Little Black and Little White guarded outside the door as Bailey Hongzhuang took the bone cleansing pill. Taking the bone cleansing pill was extremely painful. The longer you preserved, the more impurities would be discharged, the better the effect. Very quickly, Bailey Hongzhuang sensed waves of pain attacking her as if ants were gnawing on every inch of her body. Her arteries and veins stung in torturous agony. Her beautiful face quickly turned pale, her body curling into fetal position. Pea-sized beads of sweat dripped down her forehead as she bit her lips, enduring the violent pain and not releasing a sound. Time seemed to pass by very slowly. Blue veins protruded from Bailey Hongzhuang's hands as she fisted them in pain. The feeling is truly terrible, even if I'm experiencing this again after rebirth. Bailey Hongzhuang said, speechless. She had also taken the bone-cleansing pill in her past life. Now taking it again, the sensation was truly unforgettable. Little Black and Little White stared at Bailey Hongzhuang, their eyes full of admiration. They knew how painful it was to take the bone-cleansing pill. Many cultivators were unable to endure for long, and in turn, were unable to fully reap the benefits of the pill. Bailey Hongzhuang not only endured it but also didn't even make a single sound of pain. Chapter 197, The Primordial Chaos Ring really had good reasons for choosing Master. Little Black said, sighing. Little White nodded its head in approval. How could it be simple to become a Spirit Tools Master? Over the last few years, many cultivators were in contact with the ring, but the Primordial Chaos Ring didn't acknowledge any of them as its master. In my opinion, only Master had enough talent for the Primordial Chaos Ring to recognize her as its master. Right. I'm sure Master's name will definitely be known all across Xingxian continent one day. When that time comes, us Black and White twin devils, hee. When Bailey Hongzhuang woke up the next day, her body was covered in a film of filth and impurities. She immediately took a bath before sitting down to eat. Master, how was the results of that bone-cleansing pill you took earlier? Little Black asked, scuttling in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly, not bad. I managed to get the maximum effectiveness from it. Since it was her second time, she knew what to do during and after the cleansing, so there was no problem at all. After the cleansing, she felt her body became much lighter, it was also seemed easier to cultivate. Although the effects weren't drastic, the benefits would be more pronounced in the future. It'll be the life and death battle soon. Master, are you prepared? Little Black was anxious, this battle had its risk. It was a life and death battle, so he could not help but worry. Bailey Hongzhuang patted Little Black's head. The furry feeling was very comfortable. Don't worry, Daijimon is not my opponent. The current eating Baisher walked in front of Bailey Hongzhuang and coyly said, Owner, best of luck. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled, these three little guys are really cute. She didn't know if it was because Baisher was contained in that egg for too long or if it was just its glutton nature, but it had eaten a lot today as well. And at the same time, Bailey Hongzhuang noticed that Baisher's body and grew a few sizes. Demonic beasts' growth varies from beast to beast, but she had hoped that Baisher would quickly grow big. This way, Baisher could become her right and left arm. At Wu time, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., the sun was in the air, shining with scorching hot and impatient heat. The life and death battle stage had long been surrounded by a crowd. It seemed as if the whole city came to watch the show. The surrounding restaurants were packed. At this time, to dine and drink tea while watching this show was the most comfortable. When Bailey Hongzhuang arrived at the stage, she was able to see the lively scene. The corner of her lips hooked up. It seemed that there were many people in the imperial city who enjoyed a good show. Bailey Hongzhuang, you are here. Xiao Zifan and Zhao Yunqi ran to her as soon as they saw Bailey Hongzhuang arrive. They had a complicated feeling as soon as they saw Bailey Hongzhuang's arrival. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded her head, you two came quite early. Bailey Hongzhuang, the duel still hasn't begun right now. If you regret it, you don't have to fight. Don't let your life be lost in a moment of impulse, ah. Zhao Yunqi cried out. In her opinion, her life was far more important than her face. Looking into Zhao Yunqi's worried eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang patted her head, trust me. I'm not an impulsive person. Are you sure? Xiao Zifan asked. Bailey Hongzhuang grinned, of course. I'd never fight a losing battle. Chapter 198. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang smile confidently, Xiao Zifan was somewhat reassured. He knew Bailey Hongzhuang's fighting strength wasn't weak at all. Since Bailey Hongzhuang already decided, he just needs to support her decision. Bailey Hongzhuang, I didn't expect that you'd actually have the guts to show up. A sharp sneer sounded from the crowd. The furious voice was no doubt Daijimon. Under the crowd's watching eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Daijimon on the other side of the stage. Today, Daijimon was wearing a red dress again. She seemed like a blooming peony, extravagant with oppressing anger. Just standing there, the air was filled with a noble and doubtlessly arrogant aura. Her facial features were filled with conceit. Did you think everyone was a scoundrel like you? Bailey Hongzhuang spoke indifferently. Her voice was like a twinkling Muten stream, crisp but sweet. It wasn't overbearing and forceful like Daijimon's, but was enough to infuriate a person to death. Bailey Hongzhuang, you indeed won't repent unless you die. Even now you're still acting like a dead duck, refusing to admit its mistakes. Daijimon's voice was filled with fury. She originally thought that after a night's thoughts, Bailey Hongzhuang would find her challenge stupid and regret it. She didn't expect that Bailey Hongzhuang actually didn't change at all. You didn't even strike, so how could you say that I'll lose? It's too early. Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Daijimon indifferently. Compared to Daijimon's overbearing attitude, Bailey Hongzhuang seemed to be very heedless. But in contrast, Bailey Hongzhuang clearly had a plan. Daijimon's father, Dai Tianxiong, sized up the calm and indifferent Bailey Hongzhuang. When he heard about Daijimon and Bailey Hongzhuang's clash yesterday, he felt the whole situation was very thorny. As a senior, he shouldn't meddle with the younger generation's affairs. The younger generation's conflicts were many. If he interfered, the situation would become very complicated. But a life and death battle, it was a matter of a life. If she was an ordinary person, he wouldn't care. But Bailey Hongzhuang's current identity was very sensitive. Chen Wangfei, godly doctor, Azure Water School's personally invited student, her backing as Bailey Jintao's daughter, added up in one person, Bailey Hongzhuang was in no way easy to deal with. Although Bailey Jintao and Bailey Hongzhuang's was never good, with Bailey Yuyan's death, Bailey Hongzhuang was the most outstanding child from the general's household. He believed Bailey Jintao's attitude towards Bailey Hongzhuang would definitely change. They always cared about the younger generation's strength. If Bailey Hongzhuang revealed her strength from the beginning, her current situation wouldn't have fallen into her current circumstances. Bailey Hongzhuang, yesterday, did you cause trouble with Jimon bidding for the bone cleansing pill? Dai Tianxiong said slowly, calm and collected. This was the thing he was most dissatisfied about. Just how rare was a bone cleansing pill? If Daijimon got the bone cleansing pill yesterday, her cultivation and potential definitely would have improved. Her performance in Azure Water School would definitely improve as well. But everything was ruined by Bailey Hongzhuang. Hearing his words, Bailey Hongzhuang's curved into an unruly smile. In an auction, the highest bidder gets the treasure. She didn't bid higher than me, so she lost. How could you say I was trying to give her trouble? I really can't understand General Dai's logic. Even so, raising the price by a single gold coin, was that not purposely trying to humiliate Jimon? Dai Tianxiong's voice sunk, a faint threat entwining with his words. Chapter 199. Bailey Hongzhuang's sharp eyebrows raised as if she did not care about the threat in Dai Tianxiong's words at all. If you want to ask me the reason why I did this, then you should ask your precious daughter. With this one remark, everyone below the stage nodded. It was clearly Daijimon that had provoked Bailey Hongzhuang's friends yesterday at the auction, and she had only just given Daijimon a taste of her own medicine. Only Bailey Hongzhuang method was very peculiar. The increased value of this one gold coin shocked everyone. In the end, doing this still means you're in the wrong. Dai Tianxiong said in a cold voice, I want you to apologize to Jimon right now. In your dreams. Bailey Hongzhuang said these words very crisply, like she did not consider it at all. It was your daughter's fault and you want me to apologize? General Dai, are you sure you're awake? Dai Tianxiong revealed a frown. He finally realized just how sharp Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth was. He had no way of refuting this at all. Seeing as you are the daughter of General Bailey, as long as you apologize to Jimon and take out the bone pill as compensation, I will let you go and not fight you over this today. Dai Tianxiong's voice was filled with a tone suggesting she couldn't resist. If it wasn't for Bailey Hongzhuang's identity, he would have been too lazy to even say this. Dai Jimon's heart was filled with dissatisfaction. She had wanted to use this chance to kill Bailey Hongzhuang, but her father did not allow her to do it. It was fine if Bailey Hongzhuang just took out the bone pill. After they arrived at the academy, she would think of a way to kill her. When the crowd heard Dai Tianxiong's words, their eyes all fell onto Bailey Hongzhuang. This was a good chance for her. If she took out the bone pill, even if she did lose some face, she would still be able to keep her life. In the restaurant, Xianyuan Huan and Xianyuan Jing looked over at Bailey Hongzhuang. They wanted to know what decision she would make. From what I can see, she will definitely agree since it is just a bone pill. Although it is valuable, it can't compare to how valuable her life is. Xianyuan Jing slowly said. Xianyuan Huan slightly shook his head. That isn't Bailey Hongzhuang's personality. She will not agree. In the past few days, he had understood a bit about Bailey Hongzhuang. The more someone pressured her, the more she would fight back. Bailey Hongzhuang had a deep pride in her bones. This Bailey Hongzhuang truly has good luck. General Dai is actually willing to cancel this battle of life and death. Bailey Haoshuan gritted his teeth and said. Although Xianyuan Huan had said that Bailey Yuyan had died at the hands of the Wind Wolves, he did not believe. He had a feeling that Bailey Yuyan's death had been caused by Bailey Hongzhuang. Seeing this waste that he had trampled on before shining like this now, from the bottom of his heart, he had no way of accepting this. Su Wangjing revealed a sinister look. This damn Bailey Hongzhuang, she really is lucky. It doesn't matter, I've already found an assassin anyway. Even if Dai Jimon doesn't kill Bailey Hongzhuang on the life and death stage today, she still will not live to see tomorrow. Su Wanjing spoke in a sinister voice. I will definitely get revenge for Yuyan. Bailey Yuyan, her beloved daughter, was now dead. And a waste like Bailey Hongzhuang had lived, taking Yuyan's spotlight. How was she suited for it? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her chin and revealed a charming smile like a flower blooming, but her eyes became as sharp as swords. I will also give you a single chance. As long as Dai Jimon kowtows and apologizes to me, I will spare her life. Chapter 200. Her words were domineering and haughty, pressing forward, violent and aggressive. Even in front of Dai Tianxiong, Bailey Hongzhuang still didn't give any face. Everyone watching all sucked in a cold breath. They hadn't expected her to be so wild. Bailey Hongzhuang was only speaking conceited nonsense, facing the stronger Dai Jimon. She even said that she'd let Dai Jimon beg for forgiveness. Dai Tianxiong's face instantly turned livid. Bailey Hongzhuang clearly didn't give him the least bit of face. Master, this kind of person won't shed tears until she sees the coffin, and she even said that she'll let me beg for forgiveness. Just let me kill her. Dai Jimon shouted angrily. Dai Tianxiong no longer blocked her. He only said that out of consideration for Bailey Hongzhuang's identity. Since she decided to refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, he didn't need to have any more apprehensions. Dai Tianxiong waved his sleeve, walking down the stage as he spoke. Jimon, perform well. Hearing his words, Dai Jimon's face turned excited, turning to look at Bailey Hongzhuang arrogantly. This was all because Bailey Honghang had no eyes. Today, he'll let everyone personally witness her end. Bailey Hongzhuang, accept death. Dai Jimon drew out the whip by her waist, sinisterly smiling as she looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang's face never changed, the ice-chilling sword appearing in her hands. The sparkling and translucent blue sword blade released traces of cold air. This was the sword she had spent 100,000 gold coins to buy in the auction. The sharpness didn't even need to be mentioned. It had an ice property to it, so fighting with it would be like a tiger that has grown wings. After carefully examining it, she found that the ice-chilling sword's ice properties were truly exceptional. It was truly a great weapon. Xianyuan Jing watched, startled, turning to look at Xianyuan Huan in astonishment. You really were right, Bailey Honghang actually refused. Xianyuan Huan faintly smiled. She isn't as simple as we previously thought. Even though everyone thinks that this battle was just something Bailey Hongzhuang did on impulse, I think that she has a plan. You think she can beat Daijimon? Xianyuan Jing's eyes widened, his face filled with doubt. Is she actually that strong? She was calm and ruthless when she faced the storm wolf. You mustn't judge a book by its cover. Seeing Xianyuan Huan speak so confidently, Xianyuan Jing was also somewhat convinced and looked forward to the duel. Bailey Haoshuan's face was filled with smiles. Bailey Hongzhuang was truly courting death. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Daijimon teasingly. Daijimon, I'm giving you one last chance. If you kowtow to me and beg for forgiveness, I'll let you off. Otherwise, don't blame me for giving you a chance. Daijimon snorted coldly, staring at Bailey Hongzhuang disdainfully. Bailey Hongzhuang, you're still acting so arrogant. Take a look at your own strength, and if you still think that I'd kowtow and beg for mercy, I'll send you to hell. Saying that, Daijimon no longer hesitated. Brandishing her whip she attacked. She had to tear Bailey Hongzhuang's mouth to pieces. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes slowly turned sharp, a cold wisp quietly flitting past her pupils. Her hand grasped the ice-chilling sword, simultaneously charging at Daijimon. Bang! Daijimon waved her whip at Bailey Hongzhuang, but she ducked, dodging her attack. At the same time, Bailey Hongzhuang figure quickly charged at Daijimon. Her weapon was a sword. Only by being close to Daijimon's body could she use her full strength. Otherwise, her sword wouldn't even be able to touch Daijimon, who's standing so far away. Chapter 201 Daijimon guessed Bailey Hongzhuang's intentions and immediately accelerated the speed of her whip. The whip densely packed the area, hiding the skies and covering the earth, completely blocking Bailey Hongzhuang's charge forward. However, Bailey Hongzhuang completely ignored it, directly welcoming the whip with her sword. Bang! 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 The weapons were constantly colliding. Neither of them ever backing down. Their power seemed to be the same. Watching this, the audience was astonished. Wasn't Chen Wangfei's cultivation a stage weaker than Daijimon's? They're fighting hand to hand, how could they both be evenly matched? Don't tell me Chen Wangfei broke through again. I said it wasn't certain that Bailey Hongzhuang will lose. This time, you guys are all wrong. One man's face was filled with pride. Until now, everyone thought that it was impossible for Bailey Hongzhuang to succeed. Only he believed that she would win. Everyone looked at each other. This scene was truly far beyond what they anticipated. Daijimon's heart was also in shock. She was clearly able to sense that Bailey Hongzhuang's cultivation was only at Mysterious Ian's early stage, but her fighting power was equal to her own. Thus, their strength was completely evenly matched. No way. Daijimon felt a burst of displeasure. She wanted to easily defeat Bailey Hongzhuang in front of everybody, not fight her evenly like this. Thinking up to here, Daijimon's eyes sharpened as the spirit power in her body whistled, congealing inside her. Serpent's shadow lash. Daijimon shouted coldly. Wisps of spirit power started radiating from the whip, its movements seeming almost as if it was a real snake. The long whip was extremely fast. The countless strikes seemed to change into countless snakes, biting at Bailey Hongzhuang. If she wasn't careful for even a second, Bailey Hongzhuang might lose her life. Seeing the whip's stunning display, everyone gasped in surprise. Cultivating in Azure Water School truly was something. Just the might of the martial skill caused people to have the sense that they could not go against it. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes turned cold, pouring all the spirit power in her dantian into the ice-chilling sword. You could only see the ice-chilling sword burst with brilliance, bright blue rays of light shining into everybody's eyes. Traceless kill. Bailey Hongzhuang shouted coldly. Her sword suddenly waved, releasing neon colors of light, cutting off the world. Bang! The snakes that covered even the sky immediately vanished. The whip that was attacking Bailey Hongzhuang was actually cut in half. A yellow-ranked advanced martial skill. Daijimon looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, astonished. A cultivator's fighting strength depends on not only their cultivation, but also merit laws, cultivation manuals, and martial skills. Her Serpent's Shadow Lash was a yellow-ranked intermediate marital skill, and Bailey Hongzhuang's martial skill was a yellow-ranked advanced skill. Then, as a result, her skill was broken by Bailey Hongzhuang's. How was this possible? Bailey Hongzhuang still hadn't started studying at Azure Water School yet, so how could she own a yellow-ranked advanced martial skill? Although Xingxian continent's martial skills were divided into 4 ranks, Heaven, Earth, Mysterious, and Yellow, the most commonly seen were yellow-ranked martial skills and mysterious-ranked martial skills. Earth-ranked martial skills were rarely seen, and Heaven-ranked martial skills existed only in legends. As Hotian realm cultivators, the most common ranked martial skill for them were yellow-ranked martial skills. Even yellow-ranked martial skills were very precious. Wanting to find one that suited you was even more difficult. She was already very pleased with her yellow-ranked intermediate Serpent's Shadow Lash, but how could Bailey Hongzhuang's martial skills rank be even higher than hers? Chapter 202. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were filled with ridicule. She ignored Daijimon's shock and continued her attack. She already gave Daijimon a chance. Now that the life and death duel's begun, only one can leave alive. Daijimon was no longer arrogant, her charming face pale. Now that her weapon was broken, how could she still make a stand and fight against Bailey Hongzhuang? Wait a minute. Daijimon constantly retreated and hurriedly shouted. This isn't fair. I don't have a weapon. Hearing her words, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes turned mocking. I see. You studied in Azure Water School for a whole year, and then actually wanted fairness in a life and death duel. Ridiculous. Not only Bailey Hongzhuang, but even everyone in the audience thought that it was rather ridiculous as well. Your weapon was chopped in half by the enemy because you weren't strong enough, and now, you're actually saying it's not fair. At this kind of time, nobody cared if you had a weapon or not. This wasn't a child playing house. Shouting unfair won't change anything. But Bailey Hongzhuang didn't care. Since you're complaining about your weapon, I won't use mine. That way, I'll let you die convinced. Even with the ice-chilling sword stowed away, Bailey Hongzhuang's offense didn't change. Her right hand made a fist and covered it with spirit power, striking at Daijimon like a thunderbolt. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang put away her weapon, Daijimon's face turned a little happy. In this situation, there was no way she can't beat Bailey Hongzhuang. Daijimon also made a fist, punching towards Bailey Hongzhuang's chest. Bang! Under everyone's shocked eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang chose to neither dodge or block. Her fist didn't stop Daijimon's, continuing to hit her chest. Daijimon's face changed a little. She hadn't expected for Bailey Hongzhuang to face it head-on. It was truly beyond her expectations. Since she had gone up on the stage until now, she was always the one being beaten by Bailey Hongzhuang. She was just completely humiliated. Thinking about that, Daijimon's eyes boiled with rage. She wanted to see just how much courage Bailey Hongzhuang had. Thump! The heavy sound attracted everybody's attention. The crowd all stared at the two on the stage intensely, afraid that they would miss the show. That noise just now. I wonder who will win. Daijimon's cultivation is higher, so Bailey Hongzhuang probably received more damage. Sigh. Chen Wangfei really didn't need to throw away her weapon. Otherwise, she would have won for sure. At this very moment, nobody doubted Bailey Hongzhuang's strength. Even facing the middle-staged mysterious Ian cultivator Daijimon, she still held the advantage. Daijimon looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, whose face was just almost within reach. Her beautiful face was extremely pale, her black eyes flickering with disbelief. Daijimon was baffled, her face as white as a sheet. She sensed a huge force coming from her stomach, her 5 viscera and 6 bowels all bursting with a scorching pain. She simply didn't dare to believe it. She actually lost the battle. Pooh! Daijimon spat out a mouthful of blood, her body falling limply onto the ground. Everybody looked under and discovered that Bailey Hongzhuang's fist had punched the pit of Daijimon's stomach, her left hand holding Daijimon's wrist. Her fist was just a centimeter away from Bailey Hongzhuang's stomach. Bailey Hongzhuang was completely unharmed. Seeing this scene, everyone carefully engraved Bailey Hongzhuang into their hearts, astonished. Chapter 203. From the beginning, Bailey Hongzhuang already had a plan. But none of them had ever seen it. Lu Jingquan's face was very ugly. Since yesterday when Bailey Hongzhuang proposed the idea of a life-and-death duel, he had always felt that something was wrong. But Daijimon completely ignored his advice. Now it seemed like Bailey Hongzhuang's combat strength was actually at Mysterious Ian's middle stage. Presumably, Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't far from breaking through. At this moment, he could finally understand why Bailey Hongzhuang got Azure Water School's invitation. Apart from those monsters, who else could challenge somebody beyond their grade? Bailey Hongzhuang's lips rose to form a beautiful smile, a thin layer of ice covering her eyes. Die! Bailey Hongzhuang's voice fell, her fist once again punching at Daijimon. Daijimon's eyes widened, staring at Bailey Hongzhuang in terror. From that fist, she was able to sense dense, cold, killing intent. Bailey Hongzhuang really wanted to kill her. You dare! Dai Tianxiong shouted loudly. Everything had gone far past his expectations. Bailey Hongzhuang was actually so strong. But no matter what, he couldn't let Bailey Hongzhuang kill Jimon. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyes, her face turning cruel as she looked at Dai Tianxiong. Her pupils grew even colder. Completely ignoring Dai Tianxiong's words, her first ruthlessly punched at Daijimon's vital areas. Dai Tianxiong thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would stop when she heard his words, but never expected for her to not only refuse, but even turn fiercer. Dai Tianxiong wanted to rush out and protect Daijimon, but he was already too late. Thump! A loud, dull noise echoed around the stage. Daijimon was sent flying by Bailey Hongzhuang's punch and landed heavily on the ground, creating a thick cloud of sand. Daijimon stared at the white figure standing proudly up high on the stage, her heart surging with regret. She couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe that she had died at Bailey Hongzhuang's hand. Pooh! She spat out another mouthful of blood, dyeing the cold ground crimson. Daijimon could feel the strength fading from her body, leaving her dantian. She was about to die. Dai Tianxiong and Lu Jingquan both immediately dashed towards Daijimon's body, their faces full of worry. Jimon, are you okay? Dai Tianxiong cradled Daijimon, asking anxiously. Daijimon shook her head, Daddy, avenge me. The next moment, Daijimon's neck turned crooked, no longer making a sound. Staring at the silent Daijimon, Dai Tianxiong's face turned extremely unsightly. He raised his head, his pitch-black eyes dyed with wisps of scarlet-red blood. Bailey Hongzhuang. You dared to kill Jimon. Dai Tianxiong's voice was threatening. Daijimon was his most beloved daughter. Now that somebody killed her right in front of his face, how could he possibly bear it? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled mockingly, since Daijimon accepted the life-and-death duel, so of course one would live and one would die. Why is this ending so unexpected for you? I already gave you guys a chance, and you guys didn't take it, so now you're blaming me. This is ridiculous. Bailey Hongzhuang waved her sleeves, her eyes filled with a heartless ice. Her aura was simply tyrannical. Everyone nodded along. Before, Bailey Hongzhuang had indeed given them a chance, but Dai Tianxiong and Dai Zhiman didn't appreciate it. Now, Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't wrong killing Dai Zhiman. Even if you two had different views, there was no need for you to kill Zhiman. Dai Tianxiong's voice was cold. Bailey Hongzhuang raised a brow. Now that Dai Zhiman died, you're saying that I shouldn't have killed her. If I had lost just now, would you have told Dai Zhiman to start of leniently with me? Dai Tianxiong's face changed. He never thought about it that way. Why should he care if Bailey Hongzhuang died or not? In short, he absolutely could not forgive Bailey Hongzhuang for killing Dai Zhiman. Seeing Dai Tianxiong's face change, everyone in the audience could understand clearly. As early as the fight began, Dai Zhiman was already plotting to kill Bailey Hongzhuang. If Bailey Hongzhuang was defeated just now, this stage would be her grave. Dai Tianxiong obviously wouldn't tell Dai Zhiman to start off leniently. Now that Bailey Hongzhuang mentioned it, it really was ridiculous. If General Dai has nothing else to say, there's no need to speak anymore. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes glinted with killing intent, raising her brows arrogantly. Since you have offended Bailey Hongzhuang, you should be prepared to pay the price. Her haughty, icy clear voice echoed with incomparable power. Even facing Dai Tianxiong, Bailey Hongzhuang didn't hold the slightest speck of fear. Bailey Hongzhuang, are you not afraid of my revenge? Dai Tianxiong's face was extremely gloomy. He needed to avenge Zhiman and kill Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang, had never been afraid of another. Bailey Hongzhuang wasn't afraid in the least, but, Dai Tianxiong, if you dare to offend me again, prepare for your whole family to be exterminated. Bailey Hongzhuang fixed her eyes on Dai Tianxiong. Everything I say, I will do. Everyone sucked in a cold breath. Bailey Hongzhuang and Dai Zhiman's life and death battle finally finished. Now, Bailey Hongzhuang even dared to threaten the general. For a moment, Dai Tianxiong was frightened, staring into those cold eyes, deep like a black hole. That domineering manner, it wasn't just something she did on the surface, but a confidence she truly possessed inside her. How was this possible? Dai Tianxiong didn't dare to believe it. How could a mere 15-year-old little girl possibly have such an aura? No longer caring about Dai Tianxiong and the others, Bailey Hongzhuang slowly stepped off the stage. Every step seemed to prick at everybody's hearts. Nobody dared to speak in such an atmosphere, just watching her as she faded off into the distance. Gazing at her proud, white figure walking away, everybody's confidence couldn't help but shake for a long time. Chen Wangfei was actually so domineering. In a few short sentences, even Dai Tianxiong was slightly intimidated. Droplets of water dripped down Dai Tianxiong's gloomy face. He wanted to dispose of Bailey Hongzhuang, but Dai Zhiman died to Bailey Hongzhuang in the life and death duel first. If he acted now, everybody would think that he was going back on his word. His honor and reputation as a general would be ruined. Revenge was something he could only consider later. When did Bailey Hongzhuang get so strong? Xianyuan Jing was speechless. Her strength wasn't any less than even Xianyuan Huan's. Xianyuan Huan shook his head sadly. I don't know. Seeing Xianyuan Huan so frustrated and disappointed, Xianyuan Jing stopped talking. As his little brother, he knew clearly how much Xianyuan Huan liked Bailey Hongzhuang. But now, it might not ever happen. Trash! Bailey Haoshuan cursed angrily. He didn't think that Dai Zhiman couldn't even beat Bailey Hongzhuang. A storm was once again set off in the imperial city. Almost everyone was talking about Bailey Hongzhuang's grade-skipping battle. Nobody could see what happened during the royal family's hunting competition, but everybody could see the fight that had just happened right in front of them. Chapter 205. Chen Wangfei's fighting prowess grew even more famous and young cultivators idolized Bailey Hongzhuang even more. On the contrary, General Dai's household grew even more gloomy. Originally they thought that it was impossible for them to lose the duel. But now, not only did Dai Jiman lose, but also lost completely. Meanwhile, the center of this was very calm. For her, defeating Dai Jiman wasn't anything special. Returning inside the house, Bailey Hongzhuang handed Baisher to Little Black and Little White to babysit before beginning to cultivate like always. Soon she'll be attending Azure Water School, a school famous for its strength. It would be filled with strong people, so she needed to break through as soon as possible. Night slowly descended, covering the imperial city in a layer of darkness, quiet and serene. In the middle of cultivating, Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly opened her eyes, sharply staring at the roof above her. Somebody was there. Master, someone came. At the same time, Little Black cried out, "It's not a good person." Bailey Honghang nodded faintly. Sneaking on her roof this late at night, who else could it be but an assassin? Could it be that Dai Tianxiong acted fast and already sent for somebody to dispose of her? Let's go and see. Bailey Hongzhuang's face was heavy, her voice cold. If it really was Dai Tianxiong, then she could only say that he really wasn't afraid of death. Little Black and Little White hopped on Bailey Hongzhuang's shoulder, following her outside the room. Since you came, show yourself. There's no need to hide. Her cold, clear voice seemed to be indifferent and arrogant. It wasn't the slightest bit nervous from the assassin's appearance. On the roof, Xiao Ming's face was astonished when he heard Bailey Hongzhuang call for him. That woman's bearings really weren't simple. At first he hesitated when he found that the target was actually Chen Wangfei, but the reward was simply too rich for him to refuse. After he kills Bailey Hongzhuang, he'll leave the imperial city. After a few moments, he got off the roof and appeared in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang examined the sneakily garbed man. His cultivation was actually at Mysterious Ian late stage. Who sent you? Bailey Hongzhuang's beautiful face was covered with frost, her voice piercingly cold. Xiao Ming sneered, I am only responsible for killing you. As for who sent me, I'm afraid that you won't ever know in this lifetime. His voice fell. Xiao Ming struck first. He was in a heavily guarded prince's palace. He needed to get the job done quickly, or else it'd be hard to escape once all the guards come. Ding! Bailey Hongzhuang quickly unsheathed the blue ice sword and clashed with Xiao Ming. Ding! 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 The sounds of metals colliding were endless. Xiao Ming was filled with shock. This woman's cultivation was only at the early stage of Mysterious Ian, so how could she still be capable to fight against him? He could clearly sense that this woman was far weaker than him in both strength and power. She was fighting him with exquisite swordplay and will alone. She was only a 15-year-old girl. How could her combat experience be so rich? Xiao Ming was astounded. He couldn't believe what was happening before him. The palace's guards heard the sounds and immediately ran over, suddenly surrounding Bailey Hongzhuang and Xiao Ming. Wang Fei. The housekeeper was filled with fear. He didn't expect for the other party to be so bold and dare to try to assassinate Wang Fei at Qin Palace. If the Wang Fei met with an unexpected accident, they would all be buried in the line of duty. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.